What's up, geeks and gamers? It is Jeremy, joined by Ryan, Kennel, and Lethal Lightning, two mega Zack Snyder fans, two people that I can't even imagine how good it feels to be them today because of the long-awaited, the long battle, the announcement of the Snyder Cut. Wow, there's a lot to talk about. I don't know much about this. I'm obviously not a big Snyder Cut fan in terms of, I'm not a big fan of Snyder's DCE, so I don't know a lot about it. I didn't watch the presentation, but let's just get initial reactions from you guys. Ryan, go.
All right, so this is something that's been going on since November of 2017 when someone said, hey, listen, guys, there's a cut out there that is nothing like this trash you just saw in theaters. It is one that is Zack Snyder's true vision. Now, we're not going to argue too much on this stream today about whether you like Zack Snyder's movies or not, because whether you like it or not really doesn't matter. Because this cut is coming to HBO Max. We've heard people say it doesn't exist. It's mythical. Oh, that's just you're living in a fucking dream world, as Zack Snyder would say. We've heard them say, well, I mean, it may exist, but it's nowhere near being done. They would basically have to film the whole thing over again. Then we've heard, well, I mean, it might exist, but it'll never see the light of day. Well, now it's 2020, motherfuckers, and it is coming. HBO Max release in 2021, the fucking Snyder Cut. It's here. And all the people who said it wasn't here are now backtracking. They're deleting tweets. They're doing everything they can to cover their tracks. And of course, now it's going to change to, well, I mean, it might be here, but it's still going to be trash. So go fuck yourself. No, go fuck yourself. Each and every one of you pussies who fucking have moved the goalpost every time along the way. It doesn't matter if we have to drive 200 yards. We're going to score this motherfucking touchdown, and the Snyder Cut is coming.
Lethal.
Snyder Cut release.
You're excited, aren't you?
I am very excited. I saw the movie in two. Look, the point that I really want to get across with this is so much more than just one movie that's based on comic book characters that maybe you won't like because you didn't like the other two. This is a win for fans across the world. This is more than just one movie. You know, like the example I just gave before was, do you remember Clone Wars Saved?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think Clone Wars is terrible. Clone Wars Saved, I was a big advocate for that, very supportive of that, because I understood there was a massive fan base for that wanted to see it continued. Very similar situation. It's about putting fans first, and we won. And this was a well-earned win, man. 3 years of all types of shit. And as anyone, there's some people I want to check on to make sure they're okay, because they're probably going to have to scoop out their eyeballs so they can say it doesn't exist because they can't see it.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm a very vocal in terms of I don't like Snyder's DCEU, and I don't care really. In isolation, I don't give a shit about the Snyder Cut of Justice League. But the bigger picture, and it's much how Lethal spoke about it in terms of there's more than just that, black and white aspect of it. And one thing I've been noticing is someone that, again, has just never been a fan of any of this shit, but I've seen this concerted effort from a lot of these far left people, the blue check mark brigade, and it just seems like the mere mention of the existence of the Snyder Cut really, really upsets them. What is his name? Jeremy something from this Marvel blog. Jeremy Conrad.
Conrad.
Yes,
fuck
Conrad.
He
blocked me. He blocked me like 2 years ago, and he's got tweets out there where he's just like, it doesn't exist. It was made up by a couple of people on Twitter. And he just completely just trashed people talking about it. And there's so many people out there like that. Peter Soretta, another person that has me blocked on Twitter, continuing to say it doesn't exist. And I started to see a pattern. I was like, why are these far left people, blue check marks, so adamant about the existence of the Snyder Cut not releasing? I'm starting to see a pattern of behavior here. And so I've obviously, like 3 months ago when all of the Snyder Cut stuff started happening with like Jason Momoa and Gal Gadot and Ben Affleck and even Henry Cavill and even Zack Snyder himself, they started mentioning it. And then what was it, Subway that was mentioning it for a while?
Subway,
yeah. I made a video talking about, man, I'm kind of jealous of you guys because, I wish I could feel that excitement. So I've been an advocate of the Snyder Cut. I will argue with Snyder fans all day long, but ultimately, this is huge. This is huge for fans, for people speaking out, because look, regardless, all right, and I probably sarcastically have many times said that the Justice League, Joss Whedon's Justice League, is better than Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman. I still kind of feel that way to an extent, but it's a mess. That movie's a fucking disaster. It is awful. And if you're a Zack Snyder fan and you're a fan of those movies, Justice League by Joss Whedon has got to be one of the worst films ever made in the history of existence. If you're a fan of those two movies, it's awful.
As the third part, right? Like if you consider Justice League is a third part of a series of movies, right? Man of Steel, BVS, and then Justice League, because that's what it's intended to be. It makes zero sense. Like thematically, tonally, it doesn't work. And that's why so many people were fucking dumbfounded when we went in the theaters and we saw that movie. Why does Zack Snyder's name anywhere on that? This is not a Zack Snyder movie.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And so
I'm also just real quick, Jim. I know you don't drink, but it's time to party. So,
what is that, brother?
I'll raise some Gatorade for you. But yeah, I'm excited to see this movie from I just want to see it perspective. Am I excited to see the movie itself just in isolation? No, I think it's going to suck. I think it's going to be terrible, but that's not really what this stream is about. But again, I'm going to continue to repeat my points because I don't want it to seem like I'm moving away from my original points, because I'm not moving away from my original points. What I am is I'm evolving my position on the existence of this because of the fact that of the concerted effort from people in the industry that clearly knew that it existed, yet tried to lie and say it didn't exist for the reason of they're against fans having voices. And that's something I have learned through this process. They are absolutely against fans having voices. So I would say, because I understand that we have pretty much a split audience here at Geeks and Gamers. You know, half people probably love the Snyder vision and half the people probably hate it. And what Lethal is saying and what Ryan is saying, this is a lot bigger than just your opinions of those movies. You know, this is about challenging the Hollywood elites, challenging the access media. And, you know, like, again, they straight up lied about the existence of this movie. Straight up lied. And today they are fucked. And it is hilarious to see. So you say they're deleting tweets and everything, Ryan? Like people are out there just
Film Gob, you know, and whatever your positions on Film Gob are, you know,
see
I love
Gob
Film
wants,
Gob,
see if Gob wants to hop on if he's around. Get him on here.
I think he's streaming right now.
Oh, is he probably streaming now? Okay.
Lethal's probably talked to him. I think he follows Lethal on Twitter.
We were streaming at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you know, he put a video out there, all to the tune of times are a changing, and he just did all the people's tweets from like 2 or 3 years ago that said this is never happening to, well, you know, I guess it's happening. You know, whether the tweets were deleted or not. Now, Andy Signor is someone who is very vocally came out and had a big spat against a bunch of Snyder Cut people about a month ago when he came out with a report that said Warner Brothers executives screened it and they said it's shit, it'll never see the light of day. And like 2 days ago, he said, well, our source told us that something changed, right? And then now it's happening. He hasn't deleted his tweets. He's been going on, you know, he's been very adamantly defending that initial report was right, but something changed. Maybe that's true. Maybe that's true. He didn't delete his tweets at least, but I find it hard to believe that that something like this announcement for HBO Max that comes a week before HBO Max is set to launch, that happens on the day of #stream day or whatever, National Streaming Day. I find it hard to believe that it just changed yesterday. I think that because there were people that had these reports that saying this was to expect this. And, you know, whether people are just wrong or they're being deceitful or whatever, I don't know. But the bottom line is there's a lot of people that are having to eat their words after so many years. And we talked about this, Jeremy. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, no, I was going to say, just because we do have a pretty good audience here now. So Ryan, if you can give a quick recap on how this all came about today with Snyder and so they did a live viewing of Man of Steel, correct? So just take us through that really quick. Give us a quick bullet point recap of what happened today so everybody understands what's going on.
So a couple days ago, we started hearing rumors that during this Man of Steel watch party that got announced the other day, that we could hear an announcement about the Snyder Cut. So a lot of people were tuned in on Vero, which is a social media platform that Zack Snyder uses, as he did a live stream where he did commentary, camera facing him as Man of Steel was playing. We all had our Man of Steel synced up and we were doing a watch through. And he's going through that. It's really cool to hear the interesting behind the scenes, like his thought process in making of the movie. Then with about 5 minutes left, because it's through a Zoom call, he's like, we have someone else here. That's weird. And it's Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill, someone who has been very tight-lipped on the entire Snyder Cut process because he's someone who wants to stay in Warner Brothers' good graces because he wants to play Superman again. And Zack Snyder is obviously in this weird position at Warner Brothers. He comes on, he starts talking about his story. Then they start bringing all of these other people on that's because it's a Q&A to ask questions. And about half of them are wearing Zack Snyder Justice League shirts. He finally gets asked the question, when will we see the Snyder Cut? And Zack Snyder kind of deflects. He's like, well, I mean, listen, I've told you all I can say that it's done, but I can't release it. And they have Henry Cavill go on this long speech about what Superman means to him and how it would have been nice to get that third part of his story that was originally filmed and intended instead of what we got. And Zack's like, I wish I could release it. And Cavill's like, well, you should just show it. And he's like, well, I mean, I can't show it, but I mean, I guess. And then he flips the camera around and on the screen, it's the thumbnail of the video you see here. It is the Justice League coming to HBO 2021 to HBO Max. And me and Lethal and Steph from My Nerdy Home and Abu Nas all went fucking crazy because we've been saying it. We've been saying it and defending this movie's existence for a long time, and it's finally here.
Yeah, that's again. I'm envious. I wish I was like excited like you guys are. I'm excited from a certain standpoint for sure, simply because I love seeing. Why did I lose my entire super chat screen just left like completely?
Oh, you just got demonetized by YouTube.
No, but I did a refresh because it wasn't loading. Ryan, can you pull the screen up?
Sometimes it does that.
Yeah, I mean, I completely lost everything, but I do have Judacon says release the Snyder Cut F Naughty Dog. You damn right. Send to Uche a link. Lethal, if you can. Uche's in the chat. Do you have Uche on Twitter?
Yeah.
All right, send him a link if you don't mind. And get your ass on here, Uche. Oh God, I don't know if I'm ready to deal with that. My Nerdy Home says Snyder Cut is coming. Cheers. Thank you, Steph. I know you're excited. You're a big advocate of these movies as well. So we're gonna get Uche on here. He's gonna get the party started. Ryan will pull up the rest of the super chats. I apologize, but yeah, the super chat screen has just completely just shit out on me. So again, to recap, it is official. The Snyder Cut is releasing in 2021 on HBO Max. Now, what do we know about the Snyder Cut itself, Lethal? Do we know any details about this?
It's practically an entire different movie. I see a lot of people saying, it's 10 minutes here, it's 10 minutes there. It's like, no, it's pretty much a different movie. Like, the tone is different. It's more on, it lines up better with the previous two movies. A whole lot of that cringy Joss Whedon dialogue just isn't fucking there. The characters are more in line with how they've been in the previous movies. It's basically an entire different movie. Like, we've seen different parts from the ending, so we kind of know how it's going to play out. But it's like 10% of what we saw in the cinema is actually what's in the movie. In Zack Snyder's version,
about 15%. Yeah, that's the estimated. And when you look, and I'm having trouble pulling it up too, Jeremy. When you look at,
you're talking about super chats, because mine was broken as well. Yeah, mine wouldn't load either before.
Yeah, but if you send them now, I'll hit them as soon as they come in. I apologize. There's been quite a few. Just like I know Teresa Martin sent one that said, "Congrats, guys." There was some other ones, but I can't pull the screen. It's unbelievable. YouTube is broken again. But if I will be able to get to them when the stream is over, I can do a recap. Angel Chang says, release the Suicide Joker cut. LOL.
Well, and so that is listen, all of the interference that went on with Zack Snyder's Justice League also went on with David Ayer's Suicide Squad. And I don't think this is necessarily the time to get into that, but just the fact that AT&T, that's the thing. It's new ownership over at Warner Brothers after AT&T took over. That's why this screening that happened February 8th of Zack Snyder's cut happened between Warner Brothers executives and AT&T executives, because AT&T executives didn't see this before. It was all the people at Warner Brothers, and now they're under different ownership. AT&T is the one who realized that they feel like this needs to happen. And like Lethal said, just think about the first Justice League trailers that you saw. 80% of what is in those trailers is not in the theatrical release of the movie. Is Cyborg. Cyborg is supposed to be basically the heart. That's Zack Snyder said that many times. So did Ray Fisher, that Cyborg's story is kind of like the heart of this Justice League movie. Cyborg was barely in that fucking movie. Yeah, which is why at the end you feel nothing. You feel nothing when Cyborg's like, I want to live too, because you're supposed to go through this journey with him, and you don't. Obviously, every Superman scene was reshot because you could see the fucking mustache. You went from in the cornfields, that we saw in that first trailer, Clark saying, "I'll take that as a yes," and Lois like giving a questioning look, and he turns and he says, "The ring," right? Because she's wearing the ring because she said yes to his proposal of, "Will you marry me?" Basically, but what do we get instead? We get, "You smell good," and he says, "Did I not before?" That the fucking Joss Whedon bullshit. And it just doesn't make any sense when you put him up with the two that it came before it, because Zack Snyder was building a world here. And if you don't like that world, I get it. But if you do like that world, you go to see this movie, you're like, what the fuck? If you didn't like that world, you go to see this movie, you're like, well, this is a okay random standalone movie, I guess.
Yeah.
But
by the way, I do have the super chat screen pulled up now, so it's going to log them from this point forward. I apologize for the few that I missed before, but I will get back to those, even if I have to recap them on another live stream, or either tonight on our stream on Twitch. So I will take care of you guys. I apologize. YouTube just fucking up. Uche has a link. Uche will be joining us momentarily, and that's going to be worth hearing on its own. Hopefully he's not too high. I don't know. Then we have Christoph the Polish guy release a Lord and Miller solo cut. That would, dude. I mean, there really is one out there. You know what I mean? Like, it was 90% done. That film was 90% done. I you know what? I think we need to make some noise about the Lord and Miller cut of Solo. I want to see that, and I want to see the Lucas cut of Rise of Skywalker. Damn it! Even though I don't believe
I don't believe that one. There's no part of me that believes that. But that is the opposite side of this argument, which from someone that is kind of taking back and forgetting my fandom for a second, how much I want to see this movie. Some people are saying, well, it's a slippery slope, right? Because if you give in to fans that make enough noise, then you might lose your artistic integrity or any of the control you have as a corporation. Because what a lot of people are saying, well, what's going to happen next? Then you're just going to see # release the air cut of Suicide Squad and people demanding that. And from we talk about this all the time. In any fan group, you have a 1% of them, which could seem like extreme on one side or the other. We have that in the Fandom Menace. You have that in the release of Snyder Cut. You have that anywhere. You have that in like cheerleading competitions. You have a couple parents that are just absolutely insane. That just happens when you get a group of people together. But I think, just like we saw with Sonic, how they took fan feedback and took that into consideration. I think it's a great thing. I think it's a positive thing to happen. I don't think it's a bad thing. But a lot of the Hollywood elitists who want to give you what you need instead of what you want don't like that idea.
Yeah, this is seriously all about, lack of, like they hate fans. They can't stand it. And Christoph the Polish guy says, and keep only giant octopus from Howard cut. But yeah, this is all about that. I mean, and that's what I've been noticing recently as someone that really, I haven't paid that close attention to the details of the Snyder Cut. I've just been arguing with people about how shitty I think the movies are. But when you start looking a little closer at how the blue check mark and the elitist, the access media have been treating this, it's clear that it's a clear distinction of it's them having something against fans having a voice. And that's really what the Snyder Cut is symbolizes. This is beyond a good movie and a bad movie. This is about fans having a voice versus fans not having a voice. If you are for fans having a voice, then you are pro Snyder Cut. If you're against fans having a voice, then you're anti Snyder Cut. That's really what this comes down to. Because again, to be clear, and the only reason I'm repeating this is because as someone that argues with Snyder fans all the time, I don't want to appear as one that's a pro Snyder Cut person in terms of the quality or wanting to see it from that perspective. This is so far beyond that. And that's what people have to start understanding. This is not about movie opinions. This is about standing up against what happened with the Disney trilogy. This is about standing up about what happened with Ghostbusters 2016. This is about standing up with what's going on with Naughty Dog. This is about standing up against all of that bullshit. That is what's going on. That is something I've learned from Lethal and from Ryan. So that's a testament to both of you guys. So
thank you.
It's good stuff.
You're spot on with that.
And let's see, Scott Gentry, thank you for the super chat. Star Wars, Justice League, Marvel, Star Trek, and finally the current manifestation of a Vampire the Masquerade is a botched abortion. This is why the best things ever made were on VHS. VHS. I love me some VHS. Oh God, he's here. He's here. He's here. Oh no. Oh. Turn that shit off.
Turn that shit up.
Hit it.
Kick him.
To be an American, at least I know I'm free. It's the Snyder Cut.
It's fucking released now. It's done.
It's happening.
It's fucking happening. Lisa, we should get that clip. We should get that clip. Hold on. There's a clip of.
Oh yeah, I closed Twitter.
Yeah, let me find it. I think Lyndon tweeted it out, like, because he was clipping our reactions to it.
Dude, I woke up and was just like, something is different.
Yo, you just woke up? You didn't watch the watch party? Oh yeah, that shit starts at 11. That's too early for you.
No. I saw part of the watch party, but I had to handle some things, some business. But man, 3 years. We finally got it. Finally.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to feel good to be a pro Snyder fan today. But
it absolutely does. But this is a win for everyone.
Everybody.
Let's see what you got. Oh, these are the reactions.
Yeah, so this is Zack hosting the watch party. There's Henry Cavill who randomly popped in and we were like, what? Like when that happened, we had a reaction, right? Because he pops in about 10 minutes before the movie ends. And we're like Henry Cavill's a guy who's been very tight-lipped about anything Snyder Cut related because he was trying to walk a fine line at Warner Brothers. So when he popped in there, you were like, well, something is going on. And then we thought that they were kind of beating around the bush. We're like, it's probably not going to happen. And Henry's like, you should just show it. And then Zack does this.
I have this. I don't know if this is helpful. See that?
Damn.
We won. The game's over.
Every single one of you motherfuckers who said it wasn't happening. Go Yeah, so
that's awesome.
Because he played the game, he played us, man. We thought he made us think that it was going to be another coy tease, and we were so excited. And then he shows that it's God,
that was
fucking
awesome. That was
hell
awesome.
Yeah, that's dope.
Now let's see. We have Angle Chang says, in my opinion, Henry Cavill looks good with the beard. I never understood why Superman didn't have a beard while in a coma. That happens to everyone. Hashtag the beard cut. I mean, I'm not here to make a determination, but according to Twitter, every time Henry Cavill is shown, apparently he looks good no matter what. I see women just losing their minds, even if it's just a picture of his like hand. They go crazy. So, but he represents toxic masculinity, and that's very anti-Hollywood these days. And that's probably another reason why they probably want to get a deer person to play Superman, and that's why they're so against Henry Cavill. Because for all my problems with Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman, Henry Cavill is perfectly cast. Perfectly cast. Absolutely perfectly cast. Now, did you hear the points I was making about how this is bigger than pro DCEU versus anti in terms of Snyder? Did you hear that, Uche? What I was talking about?
Yeah. I was watching you guys for about since y'all started, but
okay.
No, you're absolutely right. It is this is more along the lines of when a creative's ability to create, like a director like Zack Snyder, is like hampered and handicapped.
All right, hang on. Christian Longo is a little bitch, okay? Because these three guys that are on this stream are all on my team. They all are pro Snyder Cut people. They are pro Zack Snyder people. And I have never told them, I've actually encouraged them to speak out against or speak out for the Snyder Cut constantly. Have I ever told any of you guys you can't talk about Snyder Cut?
No.
So shut your fucking mouth, Christian. You're just a little bitch who can't deal with someone having a different opinion than you. You have a little penis, okay? And it probably can't even stay hard. You have to put little popsicle sticks around it to keep it relevant for your girlfriend.
I gotta put it in the splint.
So go fuck yourself, all right? Little bitch. All right, back to the point. I'm sorry, guys. I had to roast somebody.
But I mean, this is huge because a director's ability to make a movie, to create his own vision, was handicapped. It was fucked with, and the end result was something that was a complete disaster, and it was an embarrassment not only to the people who acted for 6-8 months making the movie, the people who directed it, or the people who filmed it, the people who worked on the set. All these people were embarrassed when that movie was released because that was not the movie that they filmed. And now, with a concerted effort, and there are a lot of other smaller YouTube channels like Ping Pong Flicks. I mean, that guy, that guy has been on, he has been on this thing since literally the day of. And, there are a lot of people who kind of started that grassroots movement, and the release of Snyder Cut became a thing. And it just, it grew into this force that, when you have somebody who's really been wronged and the fans realize it and the community realizes it, as long as you're consistent, I mean, at the very least, those people will hear your voice. And now, with like what Ryan said, with new leadership at Warner Brothers, with AT&T buying them, they've recognized that not only is it an opportunity to, promote their HBO Max streaming service, but it's an opportunity to actually present the fan base with something that they have been asking for years. And that's why this feels so good to me.
Yeah, I got a couple questions for you guys here in just a second. Let me catch up on a few super chats. Ord's Board says, it's happening. Really? Did I die? It is absolutely happening. Alex Slusher says, I'm happy that the Snyder Cut is real and coming. It shows that we have to make enough noise. If we make enough noise, they'll listen. Absolutely.
You had people writing letters to the new AT&T or the new Warner Brothers head, handwritten letters. The amount of ways that people got attention to this is incredible. The dedication.
Yeah. Uche just woke up, Laura. That's why he's surprisingly calm. He just woke up.
No, I woke up a little while ago, but I had to run up to the store real quick.
All right. Preston Pooper. Preston Pooper says, # release my handcuffs. It hurts. Patrick O'Connell. Only thing that could make this day better is if Disney announced that Kathleen Kennedy has stepped down from Lucasfilm. Absolutely. Mega Mr. 46. I apologize for being a buzzkill, but have you guys heard about Shad's heroic death? Yeah. From the WWE. I don't know the full details. I know Odin covered this the other day on Sports Wars. when he was missing. And through the reports that the vague reports I have heard is apparently he went swimming to Venice Beach with his son, and they were missing for several days. Turns out that he saved his son from drowning, but he lost his life at 39 years old. This is also a guy who stopped an attempted robbery several years ago. So he is an absolute hero. Do you know more details on it, Ryan?
Yeah. Basically, that they got pulled out. The Riptide pulled them out, and some people went out to help them. This is what I've been told. Some people went out to help them. He like pushed his son towards them, save my son. I don't know if that's an exact quote. That's just kind of the feeling that we're getting, like how it was. By the time they were able to get his son to safety and go back for him, he was gone. And unfortunately, he did wash up on the beach earlier this morning. So. He's been found, unfortunately.
Awful stuff. So, from all reports, died an absolute hero. And again, like I said, this person is also someone that stopped a robbery attempt several years ago. So, if you're going to go out, if you can go out saving your kid or going out a hero like that, you know, I mean, it doesn't make it less sad. But, you know, nothing but, you know, thoughts and prayers to him and his family. It's awful stuff. So Biggles Mets, even Biggles would let Cavill get to second base. Queasy says, that's why I love Jeremy when I was roasting that troll. Crazy Eye Jedi, I hope it answers the homeless man. I tired. Dan of Steel, hashtag for autumn, release the Snyder Cut. Okay, now a couple things I want to, and there's a couple more I'll catch up on here in just a minute, but I want to ask you guys. All right, you guys know, all three of you love these movies. You know, I don't. Do you think that, from my perspective, do you think that the Justice League, once Zack Snyder's full vision is realized, do you think that it will change anyone's mind? I know it's not going to change the majority of people's minds. I'm not asking that. But do you think that people that, like for me, okay, I went into these movies wanting to love them. I love Zack Snyder as a director, and Batman and Superman are my favorite characters. I just didn't like his vision. Do you think that there's a potential that it could give someone like me that doesn't like him, could it change our perspective in some way?
No, probably not.
I think that there's a couple people. I think that some people can have their minds change, especially as you continue to see that this was a 5-man or a 5-film Superman arc. You know what I mean? So Man of Steel, like you said, Jeremy, it's not a Superman movie. You constantly like beat that drum, right? And in a big way, it's not. Zach even talked about that during his watch through today, and how I've always said this isn't Superman year one. This is Superman day fucking one. The first time he's ever gotten a fight. And so it was supposed to be this journey that you went on. In Justice League, I think we're going to see more of that journey that was intended. And I think that especially the people that went into Justice League not really knowing, and they've since gone back and they're like, wow, ever since I watched Batman vs. Ultimate Cut, like I now have more respect for that. At least I see it's different. Because they got to see the vision that was intended. I think some minds will change. I think most people are already set in stone. I think the vast majority of people, I said this the other day on a video, the reviews have already been written. For me, it's going to be hard to take an unbiased look at it because I'm going to be so hyped when I do see it. But I want to try to be as honest as I can. If this is shit, if it comes in, it's shit, then I'm going to unfortunately have to say that I think it's shit. But I don't think it'll be that way.
Okay. Let me get set real quick. Like, so the guy is super chatting me now saying he's living rent free in my head, yet you're paying me. And then the one before it was a $50 super chat that says Christian Longo is going to go put his application to join the Twitch Safety Council so he can be closer to his internet crush, ferociously Steph.
Ooh.
Again, if you're paying me to insult me, I will take your money all day long. You just complained that I was doing this for donations, and then you donated to insult me.
But unfortunately, it's not smarter. You could use words with more syllables that require more money. So
yeah, and I'm not going to read another chat of yours unless it's more than the $2. So now it's got to be at least $3 and up. And then every time I read it, you're going to have to increase it, or I'm just not going to acknowledge you at this point. I've already hooked you now. I win. Okay, Uche, go ahead.
No, honestly, man, you know, I just saw Justice League Dark Apocalypse War, the animated movie the other day, and I thought that movie was amazing. I thought that was, and I've kept up with the animated universe for DC movies, and it's all been pretty pretty damn well executed. I think that a lot of people who got turned on to this latest animated film, because I mean it's gotten quite a good amount of buzz since it came out and a lot of great reviews. I think this may be something that actually brings in a little bit of a new audience to the DCEU through the Snyder Cut, because the themes and the kind of more serious tones are similar to, are the similarities between the animated universe and the DCEU, the live action movies. So I don't think it's going to change people's minds who've already seen, necessarily who've already seen the movie itself, the DCEU movies. But I think that the animated universe and the new audience that it is brought will create a new kind of curiosity in seeing this Snyder Cut play out.
All right. Good stuff. What about you, Lethal? Well, I mean, sorry, Ryan, because you said you did answer Lethal, but did you have more to it?
I just think that it's just because it's going to be more in line with the previous two movies. So if you didn't like the previous two, you probably won't like this.
Yeah. That's true. I think it'll give people a little more. It just adds more depth and everything to this universe. And I think the cyborg storyline, from everything we've heard, I think that could really convince some people that all the background stories for these characters that we never got. That's why this movie is 2 hours and 14 minutes long. It is a deep dive because you have origins for a lot of these characters in it. And I'm looking for it. And one other thing I just wanted to say was that what Zack Snyder has done, the class that Zack Snyder has shown through this entire thing, has been pretty incredible. He's not a dude who's been out there being salty. He's not a dude that's been out there and said, if you like that other movie, you can go fuck yourself. Like, he is, every step along the way, he has been humble. He has been patient. He's a better man than I. If this had happened to me, I'd be sitting there fucking screaming from the mountaintops until I was blue in the face, until somebody at Warner Bros. Had to come fucking put me down because I wouldn't stop talking. And Zack just would continue to be supportive and thanked all of his fans for continuing to support him. A fucking class act, and that's why Hollywood doesn't fucking like him.
Yep.
The guy's been on. He's been legit the whole time. I mean, and Jeremy, you talk about it all the times in videos that that Hollywood class kind of like dismisses the fan bases of these franchises that people have loved for years, and he never once took out any of his frustration. I'm sure the dude was pissed. I'm sure he was fighting emotions with the situation with his daughter and being basically blackballed by the former head of Warner Brothers, and he sat there and he just stayed true to what to his convictions. Like he posted on Vero the picture of Rorschach. Never compromise your principles. So
yeah, I mean, it's there's a lot of moving parts. I did Tom from Midnight's Edge has asked if he could hop on. He had some questions about Snyder fans, so he was wanting to talk to you guys. So I sent him a link, so we'll get him in. Let me see, where are we at? Odo Johnson says, "Hey Dad, Mom, I miss you. Love you. Come home soon." Okay, thank you for the super
there
chat.
in a moment.
So, Rye Bread Film says, maybe hope for Spider-Man 4. Sam Raimi, I wish. Oh, God, that would be beautiful if we could get Sam Raimi's Part 4, even though Part 3 was bad. By the way, I hear bad weather in my area right now, so if I drop off, Ryan can take over. We'll see what happens. Laura Story, this reminds me of when they saved the Clone Wars, as Lethal mentioned. Yeah, as Lethal mentioned. Mr. Insanity, hail Geeks and Gamers. Sorry, this is off topic, but I heard Joe Rogan is leaving YouTube. Not sure. Thoughts on that?
That's true. He signed signed a contract with Spotify. So I feel like in December, so he's going to be multicasting, but then in December, the podcast will exclusively be available in Spotify.
Motherfucker, you done.
Yeah,
they probably gave him about
100. It's rumored to be $100 million. So yeah, but so here's my thing on it. I do think that from a customer growth perspective, I think it hurts him. But I mean, if you got $100 million, you got $100 million. But I think the bigger thing is that this could be a positive for YouTube content creators in terms of like YouTube is going to have to start paying attention to this censorship bullshit that they continue to get accused of. And if big creators like that and he's not a specific YouTube creator, but he obviously has a massive platform here on YouTube and he gets millions and millions and millions of views. So if that's going to be the norm where big creators are going to leave, and I kind of think that, you know, I mean, again, it's not right, you know, to like, I wish like I was big when PewDiePie signed with D-Live, you know what I mean? But then now he's, you know, kind of back with YouTube streaming exclusively. So, but it could be a positive, but ultimately good for Joe Rogan. I don't think it's going to help his growth overall because the deal is that the main show does not go to YouTube. The clips will still be uploaded to YouTube until the end of the year. And then starting next year, it's exclusively on Spotify, everything. So I think that hurts him in terms of growth. I mean, you look at some of the videos. What was that video he did with that doctor when the beer bug started breaking out? And that thing just went viral as fuck. It had like 15-20 million views. You're not going to get that type of viral growth on a Spotify, in my opinion. But who am I to tell Joe Rogan anything? You know what I mean?
Here's the other thing. You brought up the censorship. Joe Rogan is someone who brings on everyone to talk to them. Like it's not going to be much longer that he can bring on someone like Alex Jones and YouTube allows him to stay up.
Yep.
So right now he signed $100 million to have complete freedom to make whatever content he wants.
Yeah, but nobody's going to listen to him on Spotify. Part of what's so great about his podcast is you get to actually watch it as you listen. You get to
apparently there's a video form on there, or there was going to be a video form that they're going to be offering. But again, it's still just not the same. I mean, it's just not the same as seeing those viral videos.
I take the 100 million, but damn.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
I would take the 100 million to have complete security and freedom to do whatever the fuck I want. Not have to play these BS games with YouTube. Not have to worry about your channel. Like Joe Rogan's obviously.
But YouTube don't touch his channel. YouTube don't touch nothing he does.
Maybe not now. What about 2 years from now?
They won't. Like guys like him are not. They're not going to touch those channels. Those channels are considered on the same level as they consider like, you know, CBS News, CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. Like they're left alone in terms of. I will
say this, Uche. I'll challenge you on this because, and again, this is kind of a rabbit hole I went down. Now, again, this is not someone that's in the realm of Joe Rogan in terms of what they cover or anything like that. But this is a channel with 8 million subs, and it's I'm just going to tell you, if you go check this channel out, just be prepared to be disappointed and astonished that it has the following it has, but it's called Super Mario Logan. All right. And he lives here in Pensacola. All right. He's got 8 million subs. Yeah. He does you see these stuffed animals behind me? He does stuffed animal shows with his fucking Mario toys. Okay. And he got 8 million fucking subs out of it. They demonetized his main channel. Okay. Of 8 million subs. He averages like 3 million views for fucking video. They demonetized his main channel. He moves over and creates another channel called Super Luigi Logan. Okay. He gains 4 million subs on this channel. They demonetize him again. He changes again to another channel called Super Bowser Logan. And he's got 3 million subs on that one. And it's still monetized to this point. The point is this guy has insane amount of views. And the channels that are in 8-9 million subs, another channel with 4 million subs, they demonetized him every time because of the stuff he was talking about. Look at Steven Crowder.
What was he talking about?
He just bullshit, stupid shit with stuffed animals. He just does these stupid gimmick shows. It's just dumb shit. He's a kid. He's like 23 years old. He just does dumb. They're just stupid. You know,
maybe it's because there's somewhat of a gray area in between. Is this a kid's channel or is this?
But again, this was even this was even before. This was even before all that.
Before the
nonsense.
Whole kids thing.
Yeah. So the point I'm making though is even if you have a big channel, they still will come for you. Like look at Steven Crowder. Like they demonetize his entire channel. You know, he's the biggest conservative YouTube channel, you know, there is. They demonetized him. So, you know, I mean, I'm just saying that,
you know, I just have a hard time seeing Joe Rogan's podcast, which brings in world-renowned individuals, people who are renowned around the world from a media standpoint, from a, you know, whatever their industry is, through and through. And he doesn't, you know, he's not left, he's not right. He just sits in the middle and gets people from both sides and they just have conversations. You know, there's so much weight behind his name and behind the brand of his podcast. I can't see YouTube ever putting themselves in a position where they demonetize him, which would create massive. That could be the beginning of an exodus from YouTube if they do something like that.
I mean, again, I kind of feel like when I see a channel the size of Super Mario Logan, and again, he does his thing. I got nothing against the guy. Dude's cruising around Pensacola with him and his girlfriend have matching Lamborghinis right now. They got matching Lamborghinis, Mario and Peach. This dude is rolling in the dough. He just paid $800,000. He just paid $800,000 to have dinner with Tom Brady. Okay, like that's how much money this dude has. He is rolling. Okay, but they demonetized him, and it's just like, why? It's crazy to me. So, what's going on, Tom? Give me just a minute. Let me catch up. Thanks for joining us.
No problem. Thanks for having me. My boy, how you doing, Uche? How you doing, Ryan?
Brother.
How you doing, Lethal? And
Fantastic.
Doing pretty damn good. Yeah,
they're all doing good. J Man the Great says a small fee from copyright purgatory gift. Thank you. We are back from copyright jail for doing nothing wrong. Christoph the Polish guy released a George R.R. Martin cut of the latter half of Game of Thrones season 8.
Yeah, he needs to fucking finish writing it first, that fat motherfucker.
Eric Beck says, hashtag release the Colin Trevorrow episode 9 cut. John Matrix, 300 is still great, Jeremy. If you don't like it, you can die on that hill. Or dying in hell? Dying in hell. I've never heard dying in hell.
That's from the movie.
We will die in hell.
Yeah, I watched 300 years after it was in its heyday, and it was all right. I watched it once. I mean, I appreciate the visual achievement, but I just felt like I was watching a movie on a green screen the entire time. Like it didn't bring me into that world. I just felt like I was watching something on a green screen. But I appreciated and respected the visual achievement of 300. Ryan says, screw the Trevorrow cut. Give me that sweet Lucas cut.
I don't know if the Lucas cut would be much different, but yeah.
I don't think it exists.
PR Prosty says, Jeremy, really? No, I would not. No, I'm not going to read that out loud, but no, I would not let that.
For 500K? For 500K?
No, I wouldn't.
Oh, he's the one that's doing it.
You would do it for nothing. Don't sit there and act like you're objective in this answer.
Can I read it? You don't want to read that?
Read it. Fucking read it.
All right. Well, I believe it said, would you let Zack Snyder blow you for $500,000?
Yeah.
You fucking kidding me? Listen, of course.
You would let him do it for free, though.
Well, no, I wouldn't let him do it for free. That's
$5.
Weird, but
no. You're thinking he'd blow him for free.
Right. A better question would be, how much money would it take for me to suck off Zack Snyder?
Nothing.
Right. So $500,000.
You just said right.
That's that's life-changing money right there.
I love it.
In order for some, close my eyes. All right, yeah, go.
Look
for
at
it.
Uche.
$500 million to let some dude.
Like, 500,000,
not 500 million.
Yeah, 500,000, same thing. Whatever.
All right.
500,000. He can give me a hand job. That's about it.
All right, moving on. Paragilla says BVS in the cinema sucked, but after seeing the Ultimate Cut, I loved it. And the DC animated movies are awesome. Some better than others, but I love them. I love most of the DC animated movies as well. I saw Batman vs. Superman opening night. I hated it, and I stood in line for 4 hours to watch it. And then I watched the DLC version, and it just gave me 30 minutes more of shit that I don't like. So that's why I do not think I'm going to like Justice League. But we'll see. We'll see. Eden Franklin says, I'm a Democrat. Do not support Trump, but thanks for all you do. You are proof that we can get along. By the way, Star Wars 7 was terrible. Love your channel. Thank you. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be talking with Cameron today. Cameron's been in Hollywood for 19 years, and he doesn't agree with me politically, but he agrees with me on terms of identity politics and the things that I say on this channel. And we're going to have a really good interview, which probably got to wrap this up soon because I'm going to have to interview him. I mean, I push it back a little bit, but we got about 45 more minutes we can go, and we may go beyond that depending on how the conversation continues to turn out. But thank you, Eden. Appreciate that.
The only thing Jeff, I'll say, Jeremy, sorry for that last super chat. You said that the Ultimate Edition didn't do anything for you.
Yeah.
The Ultimate Edition is 30 more minutes working into that same movie.
An entire storyline that was cut out.
Right,
but that's different.
But yeah, the Snyder Cut, although a lot of people say, oh, well, I've seen the extended edition. Watch, I've seen the extended edition of BVS, and it didn't do anything for me. The whole movie was fucking reshot. Joss Whedon reshot the whole movie.
Yeah, they reshot the entire movie. Like Gal Gadot was pregnant, had to come back. They had to green screen her stomach because she was showing her pregnancy.
Ben Affleck just looked pregnant, but it was actually just
hey, Ben Affleck looked like he'd been on a fucking bender for like 2 weeks.
Because he had been.
Yeah.
He was like 20 pounds heavier, it looked like. Face fat. Oh God, his face was so fat in the last 30 minutes. I was like, Jesus, what is going on here?
All right, let me get caught up, and then we're gonna open the discussion up some more. Jeffrey Turner, aka Mega Jetty, congrats, Snyder Cuts fans. Ask and you shall receive. Well, ask, demand, and not be intimidated. That's what had to happen, and the Snyder Cut fans stood their ground, and I'm very, very impressed. The John Beck $2 says George R.R. Martin doesn't finish. Probably not. Jade Shadow, Mara Jade, working while recording a video. Much love to the awesome panel. Jeremy, you can be wrong about Zack Snyder. I still love you. Snyder Cut, baby. Thank you, Jade Shadow. Jeg says, we got our Snyder Cut, baby. Plays Sweet Victory. Then Just a Kid from Brooklyn is a new member of the channel. Thank you. We appreciate that. Angel Grunt says, in my opinion, Man of Steel was meh post-Krypton stuff. BVS was maybe the worst thing ever filmed, but I'm happy that after his family tragedy, Mr. Snyder has the opportunity to come back and finish the film. Genuinely happy for him. That pretty much mirrors my exact thoughts. The first 45 minutes of Man of Steel, I think, are fucking perfect almost. But after that, I hate it.
So how is it unforgivable? If you can think that the first 45 minutes of a movie are perfect, how does your perspective of the movie go from this is amazing, this is perfect,
it's just
now
like,
this is garbage?
It's just like Game of Thrones. First 4 or 5 seasons were damn near perfection.
Yeah, but there was like 4 more seasons where it took little drop off.
But I'll say, but even if you say it started dropping off, season 8 fell off a cliff. But everything with Man of Steel, like I love the Krypton stuff. I love this stuff showing him struggling, growing up. Yeah, the flashback stuff with his mom, the flashback stuff with his dad. I loved all that shit. But when he let his dad die, get the fuck out of here.
Portion of it.
That's fucking massive. It's Superman. Superman's not gonna let his fucking dad die.
That's going to be, that's something
Jake
that you can look at.
That's Jake Skywalker throwing the fucking lightsaber over his shoulder. Superman is not going to stand there and watch Jonathan Kent die. He's
in the
not
comic
going
book.
to fucking
Superman didn't have a choice. His dad died, whether he liked it or not.
Right.
That's the point,
Exactly. Don't give him a choice. If Superman has a choice, he's not going to fucking watch his dad die.
But this is not Superman. That's the difference.
Exactly.
It's Clark Kent.
Thank you. It's not Superman. It's not Superman.
Now, after that, let's go past that point of the movie. After that, how does the movie still fall apart?
The convoluted fight scenes they're horrible. They're convoluted as hell.
Ever seen Superman fight, and it looks like an actual Superman fight.
It's
convoluted
as hell.
I just watched it again. Me and Lethal for the first time. We both watched it in a while, and we were pretty blown away by how much he is just getting fucking wrecked in that movie.
And the city's getting wrecked.
It is so convoluted.
Not Superman. He is not Superman until the last 20 minutes of the movie where he actually
it's okay to let thousands and thousands and thousands of people die, but as soon as Zod's going to kill the Brady Bunch, that's when he has a problem.
Well, that's a metaphor. that entire part of the movie.
To me, it drug on way too damn long. Part of the movie. And I gave him a chance to make up for it in BVS, and that's where it failed me. Now I'm on Jeremy's, in the same realm as Jeremy with this whole thing. I didn't think that the director's cut helped all that much either. Yes, it explained a few things, and the continuity is a little better than it was in the theatrical version. Fine, but it's still pretty much the same movie. But again,
the movie was edited completely different. The order in which things happened in the Ultimate Edition is night and day to how it happened in the theatrical cut. Lex Luthor and his entire storyline with Doomsday was literally a backup plan. It was a contingency plan. Whereas in the theatrical cut, they actually played. They edited it to a point where it looked like that story arc was, and it was a decided part that he was bringing into play from the start. He wasn't going to use Doomsday. He used Doomsday because his original plan did not work, and so he went to that as a last resort. But the movies are edited completely different. And then there's an entire storyline that actually explains, first off, why Superman couldn't save the people in the government building during that hearing, because he couldn't see inside of the wheelchair case that the Scooter McGruger, whatever the fuck his name was, that he was sitting in. There's an explanation behind it. The CIA knew that Superman, or knew that Lex Luthor was.
Where does this explanation come from?
Because it comes from the forensic scientist who Lois Lane was in touch with throughout the entire part, throughout the movie, who explained that there was different materials that were being used in the wheelchair case that Buddy was sitting in, that there was different ammunition that was being used, experimental ammunition that was being used in theater by the terrorist group that was being supported by Lex Luthor. And it really put together the story in a way that made it that allowed you to understand where Lex Luthor took advantage of the weaknesses of Superman and took advantage of the stubbornness of Bruce Wayne and Batman to pit them against each other. And when he didn't get the outcome he desired, he then went to his contingency plan, which again was basically put another superpower.
Don't say that to him, Mason. He's already hard enough to deal with as it is.
You're right. So Uche is right. Just basically, for me, the extended edition makes Lex Luthor look much more like a genius. It really does show how he's manipulated everything. Whether you like the casting of him as Lex, that's one of the two castings that I'm not a huge fan of in Snyder's DCU is him and Ezra Miller. I fucking hate Ezra Miller. But again, this is a Lex Luthor who is cocky as fuck, who's extremely young. You're about to see, with the Snyder Cut, a Lex Luthor who is become somewhat humbled and darker by what has just happened to him, by his defeat. So,
all right, let me get to a couple of these really quick. And I'll get to that one in a minute. Just a kid from Brooklyn. I appreciate that. PR Prosty says, I paid hard-earned money to ask Jeremy the question about Snyder blowing him. I expect an answer. Jeremy, what about $1 million?
Look at him. Look at his face. You see his face?
He's thinking about it.
At least we're in the neighborhood of me considering it now.
You're just letting a dude blow you, man.
With the rubber on. You don't even have to really feel it.
No, rubber was never part of it. I'm taking the question as it was presented.
I mean, if the question is Christopher Nolan, I'm probably around the 500,000 range at that point. So it's Christopher Nolan. So Darth Sidious says, "Hey, Jeremy,
do you think that's because Christopher Nolan gives better head, or what?
Do what now?
Oh,
I just think that Christopher Nolan is a genius, and I would like to have a genius's lips on me. So
that is actually a legitimate answer. I can understand that.
Hey, I'm just saying, I mean,
he's got standards.
Yeah,
if it's gonna be a man's lips, it better be the best one available.
Zack Snyder's in really good shape, bro.
All right, real quick. Darcy says, "Hey, Jeremy, what did you think of Justice League Dark Apokolips War?" I haven't seen that. Was that the new animated?
It's great, dude.
Yeah,
we can get you a copy.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one yet. Haven't seen that one yet. Red 5 says Game of Thrones season 8 or The Last Jedi.
Ooh, I'll take Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones. I only cared about that for 8 years.
Because what the fuck are you doing here? What are you doing here?
I just got home from work, and I just wanted to say congratulations to the release of the Snyder Cut.
Oh, so nice.
Thank you, Mark.
Nice.
Hey, Mark. Yeah. You bought the good fight, eh?
Wow, not
nice.
So. And Mark, you're not somebody who's a particular fan of Snyder's DCU, are you?
I like Man of Steel much more than Jeremy does. I think the extended version of BVS is okay, and I think Whedon's Justice League is one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. But I also think that it's because it feels like it wants to be two different movies at the same time, and it came out looking like one of Ripley's clones in Alien Resurrection. Like, kill me.
Okay, and then let me read a couple more. Then I want to let Tom ask his question. So Subhuman 84, we got the Snyder Cut. Victory is ours. Subhuman 84, amazing supporter of Geeks and Gamers. Ord's Board, seems like Man of Steel was written based on the New 52 soups. Not a fan of the New 52 soups. Go back to the classic soups with Cavill, and it's perfect. I agree with that. In terms of go back to the classic soups with Cavill. 100% amazing. Zero Duality. Is Jeremy's toaster still single? Boomerang. Jeffrey Turner, aka Mega Jetty 1. Best Superman aside from Christopher Reeve is Smallville. A lot of people would agree. A lot of people would disagree. So that's going to be a very divisive one right there.
Dude, look, Henry Cavill. Why do I always want to say Cavill? Henry Cavill is Superman. And look, I liked the old Christopher Reeve Superman. He is the classic. So he's like, if you're going to look at it from DC's perspective, he is the Silver Age Superman. He is the classic Boy Scout, goody two shoes, do good. And there's a space for him in the realm of the Superman that we all know and love. But in my opinion, Henry Cavill is the definitive Superman. Now you tweak him a little bit
over Christopher Reeve.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get the fuck out of here.
To me, Henry Cavill. I'm saying Henry Cavill. I'm not saying. Okay.
Hang on. Hello.
Is that Henry Cavill?
Hello.
Is it Henry Cavill?
Hey, can you hear me? Look, spam right here. All right. Hey, I got a guy on here that says that Henry Cavill. Oh, they hung up. Damn.
No.
They didn't even get a chance to offer you a duct cleaner.
Henry Cavill. To me, Henry Cavill is in spirit, in his dedication to the character and how he envisions the character. He is the definitive Superman because given
what you just said is LeBron's better than Jordan's. What you just said.
No.
Yes, you did. You just said LeBron's better than Jordan. That's
because
exactly what you said.
Because look, Superman 3 was terrible.
No, it's underrated.
I think we've only this is how I've always put it. I think we've only seen the beginning of Henry Cavill's Superman story. That's how I'll agree that because you even listen to Zack talk himself and like that is eventually like where he wanted to bring Cavill. He wanted him to go through this journey, like to become that style.
Hero's journey, exactly.
Well, I mean, in order to get to point B and C and D, you got to make A interesting, and people just didn't like Man of Steel enough.
What? That's a lie. People did like Man of Steel.
No, they didn't. It made like $600 million in the golden age of comic book movies.
No, it wasn't the golden age.
Last Jedi made $1 billion.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly.
But that's because of a fan base that's been dedicated in there for 40 years. Superman has had multiple trip ups since Christopher Reeve Superman. So there has been a little bit of a rocky boat in terms of whether or not Superman was going to be a bankable movie at all because it's so hard to make a movie that people can really relate to. So this is where they took him to a level where you can actually relate to the kind of issues he dealt with as a child growing up. How would an alien who came to this world, who realizes that they have superpowers as a child, who is socially awkward, because he is, how would he be treated in today's society? And that's how he would be treated. He would be cast out. He would be an outlier, like in Westworld. He'd be someone on the edge of the social spectrum for society. And that's how Zack Snyder treated him.
You have good points. Okay, that's fine. But you don't have any credibility when you disrespect Christopher Reeve Superman.
I'm not disrespecting Christopher Reeve Superman.
If you don't respect Christopher Reeve Superman, you don't get to talk about.
I do. I 100% respect.
No, we don't, because you said Cavill's better. He's the definitive. He can't be the definitive. That's like saying Derrick Rose is the definitive Chicago Bull. Get the fuck out of here.
It's like comparing Ewan McGregor to Alec Guinness, though. Like they're very different.
Reeves,
but like.
Me disrespecting Christopher Reeves would be me saying that the cat who played in Superman Returns is the definitive Superman.
You could have just been
Henry Cavill is definitive, in my opinion, because as the actor and as to where the story arc was supposed to head, this was the Superman that we're going to see how Superman became that shining symbol, that shining light. That his father said in Man of Steel, they will race behind you, they will stumble, they will fall, but in time they will join you in the sun. That's because he was going to become that character.
He's your definitive Superman, but he's not the definitive Superman.
All right, well,
but that's just like your opinion, bro.
No, it's not. It's a fact. Christopher Reeve is the definitive Superman.
No,
that is a fact.
Look, he had an average sequel to Superman and a far below average third Superman
average sequel
that had to have Richard Pryor in it to have any kind of credibility and weight to it. So
average
stop.
sequel.
So stop. That movie sucked. The
Theatrical cut or Donner cut?
Yeah.
Which cut?
Both versions.
Release the Donner cut.
How can he be
exactly?
How can he be the
No,
Superman
I mean of Justice
when he
League.
had a
I know it
terrible movie
exists.
in there? You can't look at Michael Jordan and say Michael Jordan had one terrible season in the NBA. Not one.
Okay, first of all, just because the movie was bad, Reeves' performance was fantastic, and everybody will give you that.
Why was it amazing?
He was okay. Look, nobody has ever argued that Superman 3 and 4 are good movies. Nobody.
I have,
but everybody will tell you. You have. Get the fuck out of here, Tom.
3. Just part 3. Just part 3.
But the performance of Christopher Reeve is
so how hard was that
special.
performance? To
How
act like
hard?
a fucking Boy Scout? How hard was that?
Apparently, pretty damn difficult because
Yeah,
Cavill
but
could
you
pull it off.
gotta be fair. It's just as fair as us accepting that. Yeah, Christopher, Henry Cavill's a great Superman, but those movies aren't good in the opinions of some, and there is good arguments there to be made as to why it's not the traditional Superman. You even said that yourself, Uche, in that sense. But one thing a lot of us hang on, and the reason why some of us feel this way, and I'm assuming Jeremy probably feels this way too, is the same way why we cared when Luke Skywalker was changed. We don't want our characters to change. They shouldn't have to change.
Luke Skywalker was changed. You're 100% correct.
Right.
Henry Cavill as Superman was not changed. He was developing into what we all knew and loved, and it wasn't allowed to see itself through. So it wasn't that they were changing him.
Partially, but I'm with Jeremy on they mucked up
basically.
his childhood. That's my I agree with that.
They
The
mucked
difference
up
in-
the death of his dad. That I will never argue against.
Right, but the difference here is that, and I know fucking Ryan's gonna say it, so I'm gonna say it anyway. But I agree with Ryan 100%. The difference in that is the same continuity. Luke Skywalker, that's the same universe, that's the same character. Whereas these are different versions. Like
that is true.
We could say that Reeves' Superman is the definitive Superman, but he is not the only Superman, and he's just another version of Superman. There's many different iterations, and Cavill's version, Zack Snyder's vision, is just a different iteration. So it's not fair to compare the Luke Skywalker element.
We've had 80 years. We've had 80 years worth of Superman that is different every time it's written. It has a different writer, has a different artist. Every time it's set in a different world, like Earth 1 or 2 or whatever. So
multiverse of Superman.
Right, exactly. So
and I get that, and that was fine. Yeah. And I think it's fair, Jeremy, saying that. But my point was it's not, and I agree with Jeremy. It's not Superman in the sense that what lessons he's learning from his father, that's not his dad. So to me, it's not Clark Kent, it's not Superman, it's not the same thing. It's a great superhero movie, don't get me wrong, but it's too far from the mothership. There's too many elements there that are missing that makes Superman Superman. And that's what I have a problem with. That's really the bottom line.
Again, it goes back to this was the development of Superman from not only a more realistic perspective, because in today's world, it's just not going to be the same as it was back when Christopher Reeves played Superman. It's not the same dynamic between society and outsiders. And in this society that we live in now, this Superman would have dealt with a lot more in terms of confusion about where is his place, what is his role in society, not as a superhero, but just as a person.
They did that already, though, in the Christopher Reeve Superman, and that's why I brought up Luke.
Yeah, but it was much more simplified. It was much more simplified in the Christopher Reeves versions. It was a streamlined process. Oh, you're always taking the right turn because you're good. Always taking the right turn because you're good. But it's far more complicated than that.
Well, I don't know if that's fair, because they have that scene right on the terrace there where he goes, I'm fighting for truth, justice, and the American way. And Superman is Superman throughout the entire movie. It's just the world around him has changed since the 1930s or 50s, whichever version you want to say was your original Superman. And she goes, oh, you'll be fighting every elected official in Congress or whatever. I mean, that's kind of the point, is they were making fun of him, but at the end of the movie, we still saw that no, Superman still stands for everything he believes in, because he's Superman and he's above all this other crap. He shouldn't have to deal with some of the crap he was dealing with, and his father shouldn't be saying, yeah, it's okay, let him die. And at the same time, the point Superman is supposed to learn from the death of his father is you can't save them all. It's not a choice.
Well, hang on. Let me get. I tell Lethal.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I tell Lethal's itching to say something. So hop in, Lethal.
The Snyder Cut is releasing.
Right. To be fair, I'm not trying to bust anybody's balloons on that.
No, man, you're look. Everything you're saying is legit. I understand that, but again, you have that doesn't translate into a realistic environment in today's society based on on the story, the origin story of Superman. Yeah, there are parts that weren't handled the greatest, and you can look at the death of John Kent, and you can say that, sure, but Superman as a whole, he was bullied as a kid because he was different. He had to hide his powers. That makes life hard on somebody like him psychologically. Not only actually dealing with these people that you could break if you put 20% of your strength into it, you could snap somebody's arm. This now puts him in a position where people are extremely skeptical of anything that's different being presented to the masses. And now, as an adult who's trying to find out how do I first find out about myself, and then secondly, how do I integrate myself with these people who don't understand what I really am, it becomes a dilemma that can put you into dark places. And Superman was trying to find his way as Clark Kent through that. And then he's thrust onto the world stage immediately. Immediately, it's once he starts to find out who he is and what the purpose or what the intentions of his father on Krypton was for him. Now he is faced with another dilemma. Now you have to face these people who are, of your kind and will be of your same strength and ability, but are far more trained and focused on their singular mission than you could be at this point, because you don't have that kind of training. You don't have that kind of genetic disposition to where you would understand how to fight these people on their level and understand how to strategically take them on without having while limiting casualties to a certain extent. And to me, it's spot on in terms of this is how Superman on his first day on the job would handle it. He wouldn't be able to save. He would be lucky to save 25% of the people that might die, because he is going to be so overwhelmed with fighting people on one end and trying to save people on another. You can only focus on one thing. That's like saying you throw a rookie football player into a Monday night football game against the best offense or defense in the NFL, and you think that he's going to be able to handle blitzes, run blocking, double teams, coverages. No, he's going to be overwhelmed. He will only likely see tunnel vision one thing at a time, and as he gets experience, that tunnel vision will begin to then open up where he can see multiple things at once. And this is the story arc that they were working on with Superman.
All right, hang on. So there we go. Speaking of Ryan, you got to chime in, and then your buddy from Louisiana's here. So.
Fuck Ryan Kendall from Louisiana, you a bitch. All I will say, and obviously you Chase spoke a lot. All I will say is that one of the things I greatly enjoyed was seeing that, because what I see with Zack Snyder's movies is what would happen if Superman showed up today. Especially when you look at Batman v Superman and you see the reactions. Half the people fucking hate it. Half the people think he's a fucking savior. Like when I look at from the political aspect, from the social aspect, and you see him struggling in the middle of all of that, that is like exactly the representation of how I feel it would happen if Superman showed up in today's society with the way we are, which is one of the reasons I find it so interesting and so powerful. And I know a lot of people don't like that. A lot of people would rather just have like this Christopher Reeve iteration, and that's fine if that's what you want. I've seen that, and I like that. That's cool. I want something else, and I really like what Zack Snyder gives us.
Mark?
I think that was kind of the tricky thing too with Superman Returns, is that it was an honest attempt to just be more Christopher Reeve style Superman. Mm-hmm. And I think Brandon Routh, I thought, did a very good job. I didn't think he played the part poorly or anything like that. And he seems like a really charismatic actor who really puts a lot of, similar to Henry Cavill, like puts a lot of himself into his roles. But I just think that movie's premise and execution was just a little kind of boring. I mean, maybe Quentin Tarantino apparently totally disagrees with me on that. Apparently he wrote like a big long essay on how Superman Returns is actually genius. But what I really loved about Man of Steel, and why I thought it was probably for me the best live action, or not necessarily the best, because I think actually the original Superman, you would probably make the solid argument that it is ultimately a better movie. But Man of Steel was the Superman movie that I wanted to see at the time, because it was the first one that if anyone's ever seen the Justice League animated show, not Justice League Unlimited, the last episodes before it becomes Unlimited, where Darkseid shows up and him and Superman fight, and basically Superman has this moment where he's almost kind of happy because he's like, I've had to live my whole life as if I'm walking around things made out of glass, and anything I touch, I'm going to break. You're the first person who I can actually fight and just like let it all out and not have to worry about holding back, because obviously Superman doesn't want to kill people, but he knows that he's not going to kill Darkseid even if he doesn't hold back. And his fight with Zod, not even just with Zod, with the other two, Feora and I don't know, the one that doesn't talk. Them in Smallville, that was like, oh man, this is like the Superman from that episode of Justice League, but in live action. I thought it was really awesome. So
he gets the shit kicked out of him. Me and Lethal were like, oh my god, he's getting fucking annihilated.
Well, one of the issues there are some basic things I feel Superman has to do, to respect the character. And when I see stupid shit like just destroying government property to get their attention because he can be an arrogant douchebag at the end of Man of Steel, that's not Superman doesn't do that. Like, you go back to like when he respects.
They were trying to track him.
Fuck off! That's what he is, a goddamn alien.
They were trying to track him to find out where he stayed.
Yeah,
they were,
when the government tries to track you, what do you say? You say,
says the Canadian
government.
He's a guy living a secret life, and he has alien powers. Oh my god, the government wants to find more out about him. He still should respect the laws.
But it's okay if Batman does it.
Yeah,
Batman works on a different rules.
Sorry. No, but no, it's fine. But no, so like when I see that stupid shit, like when Superman he respects the laws of the world he's in. That's not nitpicking. It's also stupid when he's making out with a chick he has absolutely no chemistry with whatsoever, while there were people literally dying in the building. They did not.
Everyone has chemistry with Henry Cavill.
Preston Polster had more chemistry in. Never mind. I'm not going to talk about that.
Listen, we watched that again.
What you gonna say? Raylo is something that's chemistry? Huh?
Raylo's got more fucking chemistry.
Raylo's got more chemistry than Superman and Lois. We all know that Lois
is gratitude.
We watched that scene. Me and Lethal watched that scene today because we always hear you say that point. And listen, are there people probably trapped under rubble somewhere? Yes, probably there are.
Batman vs Superman told us they were.
Stop. So, yes, there were people trapped under rubble. He takes 30 seconds after they think it's over, right? Zod isn't presumed dead at this time. Everyone has been into the Phantom Zone. Nothing is happening. Zero is happening. He takes a second to like realize what has gone on. This first time he's ever fucking fought anybody, and he kissed the woman that he just barely saved and got out of the Phantom Zone. Then, as soon as he hears something, he stops immediately and fucking goes, because Zod, there's an indication that someone else could be alive and that the shit's about to get wrecked. So I think that is like when you talk about that's about the most nitpick as you possibly could get with that one thing. Listen, the satellite thing, I'm telling you, we fucking watched it today. Me and Lethal watched it. We specifically said that. Remember when Jeremy always talks about this? Listen, the satellite thing, yeah, I can kind of get you. I get what you're saying there. I agree that that's probably not what Superman would do. Maybe he would just fly down with it and be like, did you drop something? Like, is this yours? Something stupid like that. But yeah, it probably wouldn't have destroyed multi-million-dollar government property just to send a message. But
it's a fucking drone. They got like 500 of them.
Yeah. Christopher Reeve would have handed it back to him and said, you should keep better track of your toys.
Yeah. Shake their hand. Fly away. That's what Superman would do.
Christopher Reeves probably would have handed it back slightly broken because he realized it was tracking him.
Spare me about the bullshit about what Superman would do today. I don't need social commentary with my superhero movies or my fucking Star Wars movies or any of this shit. I don't need that shit. I need things that's going to be timeless, not relevant to today and how it. Fuck all that. This is Superman. I don't need Superman to be relevant to 2020 bullshit.
Why are okay? This is a little bit off topic. And for me, this is always something I bring up because it's how I relate.
Speaking
to
of off topic, the Snyder Cuts come in.
Why are artists like, for instance, Tupac, so timeless in their music? Because people can relate to their music both from back then and now. There's a relation. There's something that you can grab onto personally that makes sense, that you can feel where they're coming from. So yes, there has to be a certain amount of relation in creative works for people to actually grasp onto them, or else they won't be timeless. They will wither away and be forgotten in 2 years' time. Superman, Man of Steel, 5 years, 7 years later, still talked about. BVS, 3 years later, 4 years later, still talked about.
The Last
Nobody's
Jedi,
talking about
still
Ant-Man
talked
and the
about.
Wasp.
They're talking about Last Jedi
because it was such the opposite of that. That's why.
That's exactly why we talked about Man of Steel.
It was the opposite of relatable.
Not all of
That's why The Last Jedi is so panned. It's not relatable in any way. And that's what broke the Star Wars series.
Okay, hang
It
on,
became
hang on,
completely
let me slow it
unrelatable.
down,
My bad.
because I do want to recap where we're at and why we're here, because this has turned into a big argument, which we knew it would as soon as Uche came in. Because that's what Uche does. But we are talking about the official news of the Snyder Cut being released in 2021 on HBO Max. This is big news for so many people. So if you're just tuning in, if you're curious about what's going on, it did happen. There was a screening of Man of Steel that Zack Snyder did with fans, correct? He had fans on?
So it was just him. He was doing a commentary as he watched the movie, same like he did with BVS. And then afterwards, he did a Q&A, and he was scheduled to do a Q&A with fans. However, about 10 minutes before Man of Steel ended, they're like, oh, we have a guest here on the Zoom call, and it was Henry Cavill. And if you know Henry Cavill's history of being pretty tight-lipped about the Snyder Cut because he wants to get another role as Superman, you found that strange. You found it, wow, I can't believe Cavill's here. Something's happening. Something's fucking happening. But then as it went on, they brought fans on to ask questions. About half of them had Zack Snyder Justice League shirts on, just like the one Lethal's wearing right now under his many layers because it's really cold in Australia. And so we get down to the end and someone finally asks a question, when are we going to see the Snyder Cut? Zack Snyder kind of beats around the bush a little bit. Cavill talks about how awesome it was as Superman, how it'd be great to see that third film with Superman as it was truly intended to be instead of what we got with Joss Whedon's Justice League. And right when you think they're kind of going to end the stream on a down note, Zack Snyder turns the fucking camera around and shows this big billboard, HBO Max, Snyder Cut Justice League coming 2021. And everybody who has been fighting for this thing for the past 3.5 years, just trying to tell people that it's real, feel very vindicated in the fact that it is now going to be released on HBO Max.
Yep.
I knew something was up when that Jason Momoa clip came out a couple days ago.
He's been saying that for forever, though.
Well, I don't know. There was something about it that he seemed like he was really selling it. Like, no, like seriously, like something's happening with this. And I was like, huh, it's pretty cool that he did that, even if he is just throwing a bone to the fans. But I don't know. I had a feeling something was going to go down.
Let's see.
One thing started happening over the past couple of days. You've seen a report after report come out from people who have been denying that this ever existed, saying it would never fucking see the light of day for years and years. All of a sudden having to come out and eat their words and saying, yeah, I guess it's happening. And again, these are people that have been fighting against it and telling everybody, everyone who said release the Snyder Cut in their comments to go fuck themselves. It's never happening. It's a fucking pipe dream. Stop wishing for it. Go talk about something else. Fuck all of those people.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of moving parts to all of this. And
that's actually kind of what I wanted to address.
Yeah,
actually.
and go ahead, Tom. So you had some things you wanted to bring up, so feel free. Go ahead.
Well, off of that, there is a group of people led by certain other people we won't talk about, like Jimmy Campion. But yeah. Which is fine. A lot of people were very vitriol towards fans who were pro Snyder Cut, and they deserve a lot of the shit they get. Who doesn't deserve a lot of shit they're getting right now is, like I just saw Jeremy earlier get, myself and a few people in relation to us. Because even though, we're seen as pro MCU for some reason, even though we've been one of the first ones to report why, they rushed Justice League in the first place, being, the bonuses and all that kind of stuff. And we also said flat out that as of right now, it's not happening because it's just not happening. But for that to happen, for a Snyder Cut to happen, as we pointed out, it was going to take a change of management, which we saw with AT&T. It was going to take some additional shooting because it is not complete, which has also been pointed out. And they're also looking at about $20 million worth of finishing from what we're hearing.
So I will just say for Tom, the $20 million worth of finishing, that $20 to $30 million estimate was if it was released in theaters due to the residuals that actors would have to get paid based on how much money that movie would make in theaters. So that's where that $20 to $30 million figure comes out. Now that's being released on HBO Max and not in theaters, that is a whole different equation. So that's
another reason why it's happening right there. There was the other factor was besides A, change of management, and B, working something out with Zack Snyder to actually get it done and the funding to get it done. That's where HBO Max comes in, that's where the funding is going to come in, because you made the point right there. Honestly, let's face it. If they tried to do this theatrically, I don't know if it would make that much money, but what it will do is it'll be a big driving force for HBO Max. And to answer another question that was to address one earlier in the chat, people asked, will it be on DVD? Probably eventually, but it's not going to be for a while. They'll leave it on HBO Max to drive HBO Max for some time. And that'll be the only place you can see it. And the reason I brought this up is because Jeremy, you put it the best earlier when you were saying, basically, there's a lot of people who are giving a lot of other fans a lot of flack right now, you included, because I had to stand up for you just recently in Fatal J's stream, because I had to address a few things with Film Gob, because he's one of the people that I feel like's been pushing, this narrative on some people. And it's not fair in some instances, like Midnight's Edge and other places, where we've never been anti anything. We've just reported the news. And I think you put it best, Jeremy. It's just to remind everybody that if you're pro the fans' voices being heard, then you're pro Snyder Cut. If you're somebody who wants to stifle the fans, then you're anti Snyder Cut. Just remember it from that perspective. That's the best way to remember it. And I think that's the best way to put it, because like I said, there's a lot of people getting flack and they don't deserve it right now. And the two of them are right here right now. So that's all I'm going to say on that.
And I don't know if it's been mentioned before.
Hang on, let Lethal go real quick.
I actually, as you're saying that about Film Gob, he just posted that as you're saying that about him.
I know. Well, actually, we kind of squashed whatever little beef there was. I was on with Fatal J, and he was on there with, and I addressed it. We both kind of, gave each other a little bit of slack on it, and we were all cool now, I guess. So, but no, it's just one of those things that I feel like needed to be addressed, and like I saw earlier, just in the stream, Jeremy, I saw you deal with it. So, and yeah.
I like dealing with it. I like dealing with it.
Well, I know, but I had to remind those guys on that stream too that a lot of the time when you're talking shit about it, you're just trying to get Ryan all.
I intentionally, anytime I see Film Gob in my chat, I intentionally just tell him how much the Snyder movie sucked.
I know you're doing it on purpose.
We know. Yeah, Jeremy's not doing it because he's like. Well, he doesn't like it, but he's not like trying to come at us personally. He just knows that he's going to trigger us. He does it on purpose.
No, honestly, a lot of the reasons,
him post anything online about Trump, I'd say something to the opposite just to trigger him. That's the only reason I do it.
Likes PC gaming.
Yeah. Well, and I think
get the fuck out of here, Mark. I'm kidding.
Well, and I think that like at the end of the day, to see like what all has had to transpire for this to happen is pretty incredible. And like I said, this meeting happened in February. I think we might have heard an announcement sooner. I think this might have released in 2020 on HBO Max, like they would have wanted if it wasn't for the current situation that has shut down Hollywood, the beer bug. That's a big factor, because they can't. There's only a couple things that Snyder wants to have shot, that including the scene with actually Harry Lennox as Martian Manhunter, which that is one thing he has said that he wasn't able to, that he was not able to film originally. And then I believe one scene with maybe Superman and Lois for if in his like ideal word for it to be released. And then obviously the VFX. So from what we've heard from Jason Momoa, he said that, hey, VFX have been done. What I take that as is a dude like Zack Snyder's been in the industry for a long fucking time. I'm sure he has people who can help him out and do VFX, but it's not to the level where they would want to release it as a theatrical thing.
Yeah,
right?
As a theatrical thing.
Right. So that's going to take a little bit of money to do that. It's obviously I don't buy this $20 to $30 million number because that was said by someone who is specifically talking about if it released in theaters. Because think about it. If you release this movie a second time in theaters, it's like a whole new different...
A whole another marketing process, everything.
Whole new marketing, whole new, the people, are you going to get paid twice? Like, this movie's now being released twice. It's two different movies. So are these actors going to get paid like the dividends from that, just like they did from Justice League?
Well, no, they're going to get paid less. That's why it's going to be series instead of a movie.
Right. Does Ethan Van Sciver...
It's going to be a series?
Yeah, it's going to be split up into 6 parts. No,
Yeah.
he said it's going to be
That's
split
actually kind of cool.
So that's why they'll end up paying everybody less. And they'll probably be able to do it for less than that. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, yeah, you're right. It was just a speculative number, but it's still going to cost them. And the only reason they're spending that money is because HBO Max. That's what you guys got to remember is if it wasn't HBO Max was the final piece of this puzzle to come together.
Yeah. Well, look,
but the first piece was the fact that this thing has been out there and that there is 214 minutes worth of Zack Snyder's cut that he originally filmed. That was the first step. HBO Max is the last step. And
look, we got to give props to AT&T. We got to, because old Warner Brothers was not going to do this. They weren't going to do it because it would be proving them wrong, because they knew they were wrong. They knew they were wrong. At the end of the day, they allowed a movie to be released that was neither the vision of the original director or a true vision by the replacement director. And it was if Warner Brothers hadn't built up such credibility with its audiences over decades, that could have been something that could have broken another film production company based on all of the problems they had with that. AT&T recognized. My bad.
Chat. Look, here it's a real simple situation with the chat. Okay, if you make my mods job difficult, they'll get rid of you. All right, nobody's getting paid here for that. You know, they're here to try to maintain the chat and make sure it doesn't get blown up. So if you're running your mouth and you're not listening to the mods, then they're fucking gonna get rid of you. If you're not worth the trouble, then we'll make sure the trouble goes away. So shut the fuck up if the mods are telling you to calm down. They're trying to keep order in the chat. I don't know why people don't understand these people. These mods are actually doing the amazing job of trying to maintain these chats. So stop making things difficult for them. Shut the fuck up or they're going to deal with you. End of discussion. My bad, Uche.
No, I was just basically just going to, this is something that you don't see out of a company like Lucasfilm, out of Disney, regardless of the kind of backlash. Because let's be real, The Last Jedi had about as much backlash from on a negative spectrum of how they mishandled the movie as the Snyder Cut has had on a positive spectrum of trying to of the voices saying that they're actually willing to look past what you released if you bring us, the true vision of the movie, and you have studios in a similar position where Warner Brothers could potentially, create a lot of bad will if they, insult the fans, if they blow off the fans. So Warner Brothers kind of just stayed quiet and didn't say anything. They allowed Zack Snyder to, throw subliminal shots at them without responding, which, you got to give them a little credit for that. And when new people came in and looked at it from a kind of outside of the circle perspective, they said, look, one, we're going to streaming. This could be huge. This could be a moneymaker for us on our streaming side. Two, it would also doubly, satisfy a lot of people out there, which we know after that release of Snyder Cut hashtag day, when there was 800,000 posts release of Snyder Cut. We know that there is a demand for it for sure. And, third, it would actually allow us to repair the bridge that was burned between Zack Snyder and Warner Brothers during the period after, he had his tragedy with his daughter. On Disney's side, you had none of those things taken into consideration. And you see how their entire film platform with Lucasfilm has played out since. It's become a shell of itself and has one redeeming factor of everything they've done, and that's The Mandalorian. But you see in Clone Wars, I didn't catch this last season of Clone Wars. I wasn't really interested for some reason. I don't know why, but
skips episodes 5 through 8.
But you can tell that these are two companies that were in similar situations with similar consequences on the line, and you see how they reacted, and you see what the consequences have been since then.
Yep. Now, and this is Cameron right here. I was supposed to be interviewing Cameron right now on this channel. We were set up for 4 p.m. Eastern. I messaged him and told him I was going to be a little bit late. So shout out to Cameron. We initially were going to do this last week, I believe, or was it? I can't. But the whole Naughty Dog thing blew up, and so I had to reschedule then. And then all of this happened. So So much going on, but Cameron, I'm going to get to you. We're going to do an interview. He's going to he's been in the Hollywood industry for 19 years, and he's going to be discussing his perspective as a person of color, as a Muslim, as someone that disagrees with me politically, how much he hates the Hollywood system and the identity politics and how they treat non-white dudes as the bargaining chip. So we're going to have a full-on discussion, and it's going to be great. So I'm looking forward to that. Also going to be interviewing Taj Jackson very soon here for the channel, and I've got a few other things in the works. Some people have reached out to me. So we're going to have to wrap this up in probably the next 30 or 45 minutes. Anybody, like Tom, did you have anything else you were trying to talk to these guys about before I start going through some super chats?
No, you can go ahead. I was just saying if you had any of your crew that needed to pop in, I'll duck out, but I don't have to. I don't want to take anybody's spots. So
yeah, no, we're good. We're good right now. So now Lethal, how happy are you today?
Dude, we're all happy as hell. Shoot, what?
Look, let me tell you, 2020 has been an abortion of a year, mate.
Oh my god.
My fucking job pretty much went down the drain until hopefully August. I've been dealing with banks and building developers for the past 2 weeks. I've had a headache. I've been pretty much angry at everything. But oh my god, Jeremy, today is a good day.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have been, again, I am very envious of Snyder fans, the Snyder, the people that have been fighting that battle for a long time. And, I'm happy for you. I'm genuinely happy for you. I am going to be very honest about it. So do we know 2021? Do we know what month? Do we have a month yet? Or so we just don't have,
I would say spring to summer, probably.
Do we even know when HBO Max is launching?
May 27th.
Yeah, it launches next week.
So
oh my god!
Well, in Canada, it might be a bit different because for us, we have a streaming service that's HBO, Showtime, and Stars all together. Because
I don't nobody care about Canada, man.
I mean, there's probably Canadians watching. I'm just saying,
Canada ain't got real people.
That's not a real country. That's not a real branch place. Extended.
We're
what you mean.
We're a real country, eh?
You got like a city and a bunch of wood.
You guys got like a bunch of fucking snow on one side and one city on the other. It's not real.
We got one city on each side.
That's what I'm saying. Y'all are just a one big city and nothing.
Vancouver, Toronto, and the French one.
And I'm going to go through the rest of the super chats, but there was one interesting question that's kind of on topic that I wanted to discuss really quick. And Ord's board said, what do you guys think of Brightburn? I very much enjoyed Brightburn. Very much enjoyed Brightburn. I thought it was really, really well done. And I'm excited to see where they can take that if they're able to make more films. So what's everybody's quick thoughts on Brightburn?
Opposite Superman.
I hope they don't make a sequel. I think it ends really well. I liked Brightburn a lot, though. I really do enjoy horror movies, and I think the concept of like, what if Superman was a bad guy has always been kind of an interesting one, and it's been done in a few interesting ways over the years too. Like Red Son's probably an example of it, though not technically a bad guy. But what if Superman was a Russian? But Brightburn, if you haven't seen it, it's a horror movie. So if you don't like horror movies, and especially if you don't like gore, don't watch it. But if you've ever wondered what would have happened if Superman was evil, it's a pretty good representation of how that might be.
Yep. Uche, what were you saying?
Just see, I have a problem with Brightburn because conceptually it's being conveyed as the opposite Superman, basically, right? The opposite spectrum of Superman. But if you can like a movie like that, but not like a movie like Man of Steel, then you're a hypocrite because
I like them both
because it's presenting you with the same. It's presenting with the opposite concept, with the concept that's opposite to Superman. And it's basically just playing the different side of the coin from every aspect of Superman's being, right?
So you're admitting that Man of Steel is not Superman.
If you can like that, but not like Man of Steel, which is conveying you Superman in a more nuanced way, I would say a more nuanced way for today's age, then it makes no sense that you're
literally making my point by that.
The whole
point of Brightburn,
the duality of
the whole point of Brightburn is to show you what would happen if Superman was the complete opposite of what he is, and you're trying to say that is a connection to Man of Steel, which only further. Man of Steel is not about Superman.
It is about Superman. It's presenting Superman from a more nuanced perspective. But a Brightburn movie, which is presenting you the opposite of Superman in that same style of nuanced perspective, if you can respect one side but not the other, then it's hypocrisy, because at the very least, this is showing the duality of Superman.
That's not
hypocrisy. On one end, Superman can be seen as a beacon of strength and peace and doing things the right way. On the other end, you show the opposite of that, but you can't look at it and say, well, there is a middle ground or a gray area to that as well, because in the real world, it's not so simple as black and white.
Brightburn is a throwback to them old What If comics. You know, what if Superman was evil? That has nothing to do with Man of Steel. Man of Steel is supposed to be a take on Superman, and that's the problem. If that movie's about an alien that's finding his way on Earth,
nuanced perspective, a perspective that makes more sense. I
should have brought more alcohol.
Just saying Superman's going to do what's right just because it's the right thing to do. It's not that simple. That's saying that it's apples and oranges all day, every day.
The difference too is the Man of Steel, Superman, he's ultimately a human as far as like the way he is wired, the way he reacts to things, his compassion, his ability to feel empathy and feel sympathy for things. Brightburn's whole thing is like, what if it was an alien who looked human but just didn't have any of those aspects of us at all? Like, he was just a flat out psychopathic, like Aliens is in the film Alien style alien.
Exactly.
Where, like, it was like literally just felt nothing at all.
That he makes, there are decisions that you have to make on one end that create the character that you become, right? And from Brightburn's perspective, you have an alien that's completely dark, that doesn't have any of those traits. On Man of Steel's perspective, you have a human who has to make decisions from a human perspective somewhat, knowing at the same time that he's not human. He's actually not them.
I'll remind everybody, this is a question about Brightburn, and Uche decided to bring Man of Steel up. So Ryan, what are your thoughts on Brightburn?
I don't know if I was like as high as anybody else. I did kind of like get that same feeling though, that people are like, what if Superman was this way? The same kind of feeling I got from The Boys, like, what if Superman was this way? And I'm like,
Homelander is a good take too.
Yeah, exactly. Like Homelander. I'm like, I'm not as full on as Uche is, but it's like, yeah, you guys really want these different takes on like a Superman type character, but if you change Superman's origin story just any little bit at all,
any little bit, it's a terrible fucking movie.
It's a complete opposite take on it. It's intended to be an opposite take.
Grew up. Oh, okay, you're talking about Brightburn.
It's intended to be a different take. It's going to be a different take, yeah. But it's cool. I like it. It wasn't like I wasn't like coming over it like so many people were, but
I liked it.
I thought it was really cool.
Lethal.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was a bit overrated, but I never saw it once. But I enjoyed it. Horror is my favorite genre, so I was happy to see a Superman just slaughter people.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed it a lot. And a quick reminder, really quick, this stream is going to be re-uploaded to Geeks and Gamers Live just in a few hours once this is done. And then we're also, myself, Lethal, Ryan, and Mark will be doing our gaming podcast on Gaming with Geeks on Saturday at 12 Central, 1 p.m. Eastern. It'll be our very first monetized stream over there on Gaming with Geeks. So we're really excited. And that's a testament to these three guys right here, because Lethal and Ryan and Mark have been doing a fantastic job on that channel. So it's really a congrats to those guys. So
have you noticed how it's three different nationalities working together in sync?
Yeah, that's right.
So we are going to, let me get through some of these super chats really quick. This stream was, talking about the Snyder Cut.
Listen, the biggest thing, the Snyder Cut is being released. The Snyder Cut is coming no matter what everyone said. They said it didn't exist. They were wrong. It is here. It's coming. And whether you love Zack Snyder's DC or you hate it, if you are a fan of, or if you're an advocate of these fucking big corporations, these Hollywood elitist fuckers actually listening to fan feedback, then this should be a good day. Be salty all you want in the chat, you little bitches.
And give props. I would say again, give props to AT&T for making a good business decision, and for actually, for responding in a way that's productive for the fan bases. Like, That's a rarity. That's a rarity right now.
Very
Does
rare.
Uche play Mario Kart?
Yeah, I got Mario Kart.
Get your ass on tonight with us.
I've been waiting on us to do. Okay, you know what, guys? Y'all are right because I've been a little bit absent.
A little bit.
Hey, it's fucking quarantine season. I still got business. I gotta try to get handled.
We know what business you've been handling during the quarantine.
Dude, oh,
You forgot to mute when you went off the camera. We could hear the spark.
yeah. So what? I smoke weed.
I don't know shit. Trust me.
Smoke weed every day. Just one more. We haven't said this enough. Fuck Naughty Dog. Fuck Naughty Dog. Buy my merch. I'm gonna put it in chat. We got sweatshirts. We got t-shirts, and they're unisex for Abby as well. We got mugs. We respect the whammons. We respect the whammons here. We have female t-shirts as well. Fuck Naughty Dog. I will be putting this link in chat, everyone.
Yep. So, Ochat. Now, again, he might say at 3:15 Central that he's playing Mario Kart, but by 10 o'clock rolling around, we'll see if he actually shows up. We'll see if he shows
Hey,
up.
you still playing?
All right. So, just a kid from Brooklyn says, "Yo, Jeremy, I just wanted to support your channel. You guys kept me positive when I was hospitalized for about a week a while back. Keep fighting the good fight. Thank you. Thank you, just a kid from Brooklyn. That is awesome. I'm happy that we can keep you, entertained and keep your mind off of things. That is fantastic. So I'm glad to have the live stream abilities back as well. That's clearly gonna, help. Keep the channel relevant and keep you guys entertained. So, yeah, thank you for that. I appreciate that. The Fixer 1, The Quartering just released a video. Joe Rogan abandons YouTube for Spotify. Sounds like something's about to go down. Yeah, we had a pretty in-depth discussion about that a little bit earlier, and I might release a video talking about that specifically. It won't be up till tomorrow, but I might do that. Joseph Marshall, would you support an Ayer cut, David Ayer cut? I mean, I think this is going to open up a huge discussion about just release the so-and-so cut now. And again, this is what Hollywood doesn't want. Hollywood is very much anti-creativity within the director's hands. And this is not like, this is one of my issues, and I don't want to open up a discussion here, okay? But one of my issues with one of the things that Snyder fans will always say is like, oh, well, the studio got involved. The studio gets involved with everybody. Everybody not named Christopher Nolan, the studio's getting involved with.
They're investing money, so they're gonna say something of that, when it comes to the process of making a movie.
One quick point though is like director's cuts used to be a pretty common thing. Like it seems like only lately, every time fans say, "Hey, why don't we get like the director's actual vision of this?" People are like, the studios are like, "No. The theatrical one is the one. That's the one that exists. The other ones don't exist." But even Zack Snyder has like 3 cuts of Watchmen. Like there's precedent for Zack Snyder director's cuts already.
Mm-hmm.
And
so, yeah. But I do think that this definitely Hollywood does not want this Justice League. They first of all, they didn't want it to release, and number 2, they really don't want it to release to fanfare. They don't want it to be overwhelmingly loved. They don't want it to become a cult classic. Go ahead, Ryan.
I just think that the reason it took AT&T taking over for this is because this is a completely different movie. Warner Brothers doesn't want to have to admit their mistakes. Exactly. Warner Brothers did not want to have to admit that they fucked this shit up, that they had a huge overreaction, and that they basically nuked the entire. They nuked the entire the continuity messed up because of some focus tests for BVS. That's basically what happened. And then Justice League was a fucking wreck. They did the same thing with Suicide Squad. We're not going to get into Ayer, but David Ayer, you look at him talk and you see how much different his version was than what they made him reshoot because of changes that they wanted to make to Zack Snyder's Justice League. It's all in the same thing. So Warner Brothers specifically did not allow very, very many freedoms with this, and they didn't want to admit that they were wrong. That's why it took AT&T for this to happen.
So instead of making 2 slightly edgy movies, they tried to nuke it to make something more mainstream, and then just destroyed both of them.
They tried to make
everything. When you try to, and this is a saying in society, but this is also something that we were told in football a lot. When you try to, as an offensive lineman, when you try to block everybody, you block nobody. Yeah. So know your job, do your job. Don't worry, trust in your in the people that have been hired and paid next to you to do their job as well. don't try and do their job and your job, because then you both will look stupid. Warner Brothers tried to please. They tried to play. They tried to play over everything, seeing how Marvel was being so successful with what they were doing, and they ended up not doing anything right. And they ended up just ruining what was yet to be known about where this entire DCEU story arc was going. Like Ryan has been saying, like most of us all know, it's supposed to be a 5-movie arc, and that's it. There wasn't going to be an extended universe. There wasn't going to be these extra movies. It was going to be a 5-part Superman story arc.
Well,
and that was all it was going to be.
Well, he set it up for other people to do films.
Yeah,
right?
they could do other things, but it wasn't going to play into this story. This story was a story on its own, and then you could build off of it later on with other people. But as far as these characters, it was just going to be these movies, to set that story for how Superman became, Superman.
Okay. Well, that's a good perspectives on all accounts. Christoph the Polish guy says, "Hey Mark, invite Josiah Rises too." Well, we don't have room, and Josiah's just not important enough anyway. So, no, I'm kidding. We love Josiah. And he may be playing Mario Kart tonight as well. We're gonna have a full house tonight. We're gonna have a full house tonight.
All right. What time is it at? Let me write this down.
Skip out.
Huh?
I mean, I can step out. Is that what that means?
No.
Someone needs to read the chat.
We have to. Let me see. John, what is it? What'd you say, Lethal?
So someone has to read the chat.
John Matrix says Brandon Routh is the best Superman since Reeves. And it's Reeve, by the way.
Everyone says Christopher Reeves. It's Christopher.
I know. It's Christopher Reeve. And he was just given a crappy movie. Cavill is the next after Routh. I loved Routh. I thought Routh was great. I thought his movie was shit, but I thought he was great. I like Dean Cain.
I like Dean Cain too.
So I enjoyed Dean Cain. I love the Adventures of Lois.
Every time I think of Lois and Clark, I just think of being at my grandparents' house on like Sunday afternoons or like evenings and watching that. It was always on like after dinner. It's like the weirdest memory I get anytime anyone mentions that show.
Jedi Ranger 36 is a new member. Thank you so much for that. Are you about to hop off, Tom?
Well, Andre is going to pop in, I think, in my place, if anything.
Okay.
I know there's not enough room, but.
Well, yeah.
It's my first time seeing you on camera, Tom. What's up, brother? Damn, I was like, what was that?
And we're getting ready. I'm gonna try to run through these super chats. I do have to wrap this up because I've got to do this interview with Cameron. So, but Andre's welcome to hop on. But I just want him to know we're gonna be running through this really quick.
Yeah, no problem. No problem.
But yeah, good to see you, Tom. Appreciate it, man. So
thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
All right, man. Jeffrey Turner, aka Mega Jetty 1. I made a video on Marvel's first issue of Superman that never saw the light of day. Feel free to check it out. It's Superman, the first Marvel issue. Great job by Mega Jetty. What's going on, Andre?
Hey, I'm good. Thank you. How are you all?
Doing good, man.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
it's coming. The Snyder Cut is coming officially. So
yes, fantastic news.
Yep. So, but we're actually, like I said,
excited about that actually.
We're at the tail end of this right now because I've got an interview I was supposed to be doing it at 20 minutes ago, so I'm trying to wrap this up. But yeah, man. So, what are your quick thoughts on this news?
I'm very happy about it, to be honest. I'm not a huge fan of basically Zack Snyder's iteration of the DC universe. However, I think it was a shame that it was cut short the way that it was. I don't think that the Snyder Cut or the restructured Snyder Cut, because we're not going to get his original cut, but like a restructured version of it, I think it's going to be much better than the drivel that we got in theaters. So I'm excited for it. And I just... a little bit, well, I'm not going to say I'm depressed, but I think it's unfortunate that we will never get his full vision, because his full vision was for 2 movies, and then it was just like truncated into one, and that's what the Snyder Cut is. It's like his compromised version of 2 movies being jammed into one, but still that's better than the Whedon cut in theaters. So I'm excited for it.
The good old Whedon cut. Yeah, absolutely. Zero Duality says, does Uche think Halle Berry over Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman?
Hell no. like Halle Berry. I love me some Halle Berry, but hell no. Michelle Pfeiffer is Catwoman. First time I saw Batman Returns, man, that changed my life. That's when that was probably my first boner. Not gonna lie.
Oh man, the Kippinator says, I need your opinions on Superman 4, please. Superman 4 is bad. It's a very bad movie, but it is absolutely positively carried by the charisma of Christopher Reeve. He is fantastic. It absolutely fucking was, dude.
Carried a terrible movie like that.
He was so good in that movie. The movie around him is horrific, but he is fantastic.
You don't mean that.
Absolutely.
I just love it because of the Family Guy gag. The only way I can solve this crisis is to become Superman 4, the quest for peace. Then Peter is in the audience like, oh,
flying around with an American flag, like
saying the movie in the name of the movie gag.
I mean, personally, and again, it's been a long time since I saw 3 and 4. I think I prefer 4 over 3. They're both terrible, but I think I prefer 4 over 3. I got to watch them again though. What do you, around the horn real quick? So Ryan, thoughts on the masterpiece known as
Quest for Peace? It's shitty. It's I mean, I could see how you could get some enjoyment out of it. I think it's shit.
Lethal.
Last time I saw that movie, man, I was in bed with my ex-girlfriend, drunk off my fucking face, so I can hardly remember it, man. It's been a while, but I have good memories around the movie.
Oh man. Let's see. And then Mark.
The last time I saw it, I was a little kid. I couldn't really tell you anything about it.
Andre.
No, I barely remember it, but I remember it as terrible. Unlike the third one, which actually is pretty fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch both of those two again.
So I prefer 3 to 4.
Okay, all right. Buy My Mixtape says, I want my cat saved from a tree. I'll call Reeve. If I want the Earth saved, I'll call Cavill. Also, War Eagle. Well, you're a fucking Auburn fan, so that shows how your opinions are fucked up anyway. So, Duke's video says #released a Jeremy cut. Let's see. Hubble C says, let's play it out then. Keaton and Bale were both amazing Batman, but we don't argue that those movies had vastly different tones. Same applies here. Yeah, I mean, I understand that. I would say there's not as big of a discussion between Keaton and Bale, but there is there is the people that have we prefer Keaton's Batman to Bale's Batman or Burton's to Nolan's or whatever. There is that discussion, but it's not anywhere near the level that the argument of Superman is. Go ahead, Ryan.
There are only 3 fucking superheroes that matter, and it's because there's only 3 fucking superheroes that matter. That's Superman, Batman, and Spider-Man. You don't see these fucking arguments about Thor. You don't see these fucking arguments about Captain America. You don't see these fucking arguments about Iron Man, because the fact is that those characters just aren't as important.
I say Wolverine is close to being in there. And close. Not quite, but he's close.
Wolverine. Close. But we've only seen one rendition of him.
Absolutely.
In movies,
yeah, live action.
Right? But there was
I was about to say yes in the animated series. That's the real Wolverine.
Animated series is the real Wolverine. Hell yeah.
There was speculation, right? People didn't think that Hugh Jackman could handle it. These guys, it doesn't matter. That's why what Robert Pattinson said, and not to get on this, we won't. What Robert Pattinson said pissed off so many people, because you got to know you're playing Batman, man. People are going to be critical of you just because you're cast before they even fucking seen you. They can see pictures of you like, oh,
every single Batman since Keaton has been criticized. All of them.
So Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, those are the only ones we really hold to these standards, and we will always have arguments about it. As long as Comic Shop exists, which won't happen for much longer, we will fucking sit there for hours and argue about it.
I don't think anyone was against Kilmer or Bale.
And the funny thing with casting is that for Wolverine, Hugh Jackman wasn't the first or the second, but the third choice. And still, he was the one that really worked.
What did you say, Mark, about it? What were you saying? I didn't hear you.
I don't remember there being any backlash for, aside from the fact that it was just not going to be Michael Keaton anymore. But I don't remember anyone really having a problem with Val Kilmer being cast as Batman or Christian Bale.
Well, it was mainly because there was no Twitter, so
there was no Twitter when Keaton got cast, and I was 6, and I remember people freaking out.
No, yeah, you're right. I mean, Keaton,
a lot of backlash on Keaton. Yeah, that's what I was.
Keaton and Hugh Jackman. Keaton and Hugh Jackman both got a lot of backlash, and I think it was. I mean, again, Keaton just didn't look like the role. He didn't have the look.
He was
small. Right.
He was Mr. Mum. He's like the
Yeah.
friendliest guy in Hollywood. Like, man,
But,
is
yeah.
Batman going to beat me up, or is he going to hang out with me for a fantastic afternoon of cricket and beers?
Yeah, well, Iceman and Mad Mardigan made more sense to a lot of people as Batman. So I think when Val Kilmer took it over, people were like, "Oh, okay." This was before he became.
He wasn't bad. He was actually pretty good too. I liked him as Batman.
Well, and the thing with Bale, when Bale got announced, Batman was probably at the lowest point from a pop culture standpoint that he had been, coming off Batman and Robin, Batman and Robin. And then years later, we get this announcement. Christopher Nolan was a nobody in terms of his significant.
Memento was a
no. What I'm saying is from a name that people recognize. Nobody knew the name Christopher Nolan when he was announced for Batman. Christian Bale was the reason the reason I cared about Batman Begins was because Christian Bale has been my favorite actor well before Batman Begins was announced, because of American Psycho and all these other crazy films he's done. But I didn't know Christopher Nolan was at the time. But yeah, I just feel like superhero movies just really weren't a big thing at that point in time. I mean, we had when Batman Begins was announced,
they lost their credibility because of Batman and Robin. A lot of superhero movies, like that entire market, that entire genre crashed because of Batman and Robin. They waited 6-7 years before they announced Batman Begins.
Well, and they were also going to do, Darren Aronofsky was going to do Batman Year One. That I think there was something crazy. Like he said, he was going to try to do it for like $18,000, like do it like an actual indie movie. And that eventually turned into Batman Begins, which obviously is a bigger budget movie. But
the announcement of the actor of Batman is that's in pop culture, that's kind of like the Pope, being announced, a new Pope being announced. Like it's people take that serious. They take it super serious. And with social media, with this now, with the age where everybody has a platform, it's become 10 times the kind of announcement that it was when I was growing up. But I mean, and to this day, for me, honestly, I feel like Ben Affleck is, in a way, a definitive Batman, because he just kind of fit what we always kind of wanted Batman to look like. From a size standpoint, he was oddly almost a twin of the animated Batman when you put them side by side. And for the most part, for me, he was a darker Batman. I always liked the darker, more kind of brutal, violent Batman, who's more of a true vigilante than just the one that they've kind of evolved him into. But I still love that one too. So
one of the reasons that I think that these movies are so divisive in a way is because they definitely weren't made to appeal to, I feel like, the most people. You look at it, you have a Superman who's not even really Superman yet. I think we can all basically agree on that. You have a Batman who's been Batman for over 20 years. So you have these opposite ends of the spectrum. You have a Superman who's not Superman yet. You have a Batman who's lost his way and is no longer really Batman. So right. So for me, it's a very compelling story to see, especially, and I know everybody hates the Martha scene, but to see how Batman regains.
Why did you say that name?
Batman regains the humanity that he has lost from a dude who isn't even human. Ultimately, that's it at the end. And I think that, to me, it's compelling, but I can really see why to the masses it's not necessarily appealing, because you guys are making some great points. Doesn't mean I necessarily agree with some of the criticisms of Batman v Superman, but I can understand that.
Yeah, I hear you on that. AJ says, loving the discussion. Thanks, everyone. We have had a really good discussion. I mean, the intent was to not make this a argument about Snyder movies, that then Uche came in and
slid into it a couple times.
Because I'm gonna come in and say how I feel. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, "Oh, we're happy." Y'all some haters because you didn't like it, and and now they realize this is what the people really want, and this is what we're going to give to them.
I think it's really just because every time me and Ryan talk on the phone, we argue about it. So we were kind of like, let's just not argue for once about this shit. So Crazy Eyed Jedi 1998 Superboy is the best, LOL. G Dumb 59. Kirk Heinrich is the greatest Chicago Bulls player ever. Changed my mind, Jeremy. I can't change your mind. That's facts. I can't. When you drop facts, I can't argue facts. Black Phoenix says,
"Okay, listen, Captain Kirk. I ain't gonna say he's the best bull ever, but listen, Captain Kirk is a fucking Bulls legend. If you say anything otherwise, go fuck yourself."
Black Phoenix, Man of Steel makes me think I can beat Superman.
All right, go do it. Go do it.
And Paul SLETTEN sends a super chat. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Paragilla says, wow, mind blown. Did you guys know Benioff and Weiss didn't quit over a movie? It was a trilogy. Not a movie. Not a movie. We're talking about a trilogy. God, pressed in pooper. So we want to trade the Superman who destroyed a spy drone for the one that gave up his powers for some booty. I mean, if you guys want to talk about relatability, you say Superman can't be relatable, which he doesn't need to be relatable, but every man can relate to giving up something for some ass. There you go. That's relatability right there.
Your
all right.
life.
JD's Progress second channel sends an emoji with some sunglasses. Thank you so much. Shit, it jumped around on me. There it is. Jeffrey Turner, aka Mega Jetty 1911, and Civil War brought social commentary to comics. Yeah, along with other things. GGHH Yo says, I'm definitely down to see what Snyder's version of Darkseid is going to be like. I mean, I'm excited to see the movie. Let me see. Zero Duality. Do the mods have any single toasters? Mods, feel free to answer that one. Laser Pants. Release literally anyone else's Last Jedi cut. Black Phoenix says, I made a mistake. Brandon Routh's Superman made me feel like Superman is weak. Man of Steel was dope. Here's my 10 for my mistake. Sorry, guys. Okay, so Black Phoenix made a mistake. So let's make sure, because let me go back. So Black Phoenix says, Man of Steel makes me think I can beat Superman. He meant to say Superman Returns. I think that makes more sense, because I really didn't understand what you were saying, because I mean, for all my problems with Man of Steel, I've never watched that goes, I think I can beat Superman. I have watched Superman Returns and said, I think I can probably beat Superman after seeing Superman Returns. I never thought that with Man of Steel, though. CZ says, Man of Steel isn't a superhero movie. It's a science fiction movie about space Jesus. Changed my mind. That's what I think. I think it's about a movie about an alien coming to Earth and trying to find his place. That's what I think. GD Chapel.
The story of Superman.
GD Chapel, I'm at Noran Uche. GD Chapel, Superman as a communist cannot be anything other than a bad guy. Sorry.
Oh, come on, dude.
Yeah, I mean, hey,
animated movie.
$20 super chat.
I haven't seen the animated movie. I really love the graphic novel, though. It's great.
It's one of the best Elseworld stories that was written.
Oh, hang on. There we go.
WrestleMania. I didn't say it was the.
Almost started another argument there.
Jeremy, fuck you.
The best is Kingdom Come.
CJP sent a 99-cent super chat. Retracted. Demonic Loki. Naughty Dog should release the Joel cut of The Last of Us Part 2.
Demonetized. Strike. There you go. Said it.
John T becomes a new member of the channel. Thank you, John. Appreciate that. R sends a $5 super chat. I didn't enjoy most of Snyder's work, but I'm curious to see this cut, and I'm happy for the fandoms. That's a good take. Headcase Laboratory. Tobey Maguire, best Spider-Man. 100% agree with you. WrestleMania says, Jeremy, fuck you. Headcase Laboratory says, Kevin Conroy is the voice of Batman. I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Look, as much Bale is my definitive Batman, but I will make fun of the voice all day long. It's just too damn good not to. So that now again, there were about 10 super chats early on that I missed. I'm going to see if I can maybe get a point to highlight them tonight during our Mario Kart stream. We're going to be streaming Mario Kart 8 over on Twitch tonight at, what is it? Time is it, Ryan? Is it 9 p.m.?
7 Pacific, 9 East, or 9 Central, and 10 Eastern.
10 Eastern. Okay. So Uche, are you going to be there?
Yeah, I'll be there. I'll put
Mark, are you going to be there?
On my phone. I can. I might not have my sexy Asian sidekick though.
What? All right. Well, you know what? I'm just gonna leave it at that. You're not entertaining without her.
I know, and that's why I figured I'd warn you.
I think our requirement always, because hey, Ryan, can you do your impression of Mark doing a solo Half-Life 2 stream?
Hello there. This is MarcTheCyborg. We're here to play Half-Life 2, and I think I see my 7 people here in chat. It's the physics in this game are really something very incredible, and I think that the way that they went about this and the fact that it's in 135 frames per second is really intriguing.
Okay. Point. Every single time I was doing one of those streams, I invited you guys to join the Discord so I would have people to talk to. If I have no one else to talk to, how does it not sound like a DVD commentary? Like, I've just got to talk about what I'm doing.
I've never done that. I stream on Twitch all the time. I never invite people on to talk to me.
So what do? You just yell at the computer that you're fighting against? Or
yes, I'm like, yo, fuck you, bitch.
I'm sorry, I spent too much time winning. I have no reason to be angry.
Listen, we are going to set this up
tonight.
Listen, we're going to set this up. We're going to have Drunk 3PO play Dark Souls, and we're going to have MarcTheCyborg on voice chat with him to direct him, to give him advice on where to go and what
Dark
to do.
Souls tattoo, by the way.
It's gonna be the greatest thing ever. It's gonna be the greatest thing ever. So I can't wait. Pal Sletten, I think I got that right.
Almost. It's actually Paul Sletten. He's Norwegian like me.
Paul Sletten. Thank you. This is Andre already being an asset to the stream. Thank you. So Geeks and Gamers, I'm a straight white man with dyslexia. Please help me understand the shit that is the fucking SJW shit on No Voice in Twitch. Love from Norway. I mean, the basics of this is that the dear person that claimed that voice chat was an is and an ism. Basically, they are implying that when you use your voice, that then lets people know if you're a male or a female or whatever you identify as, and then that opens you up for bullying, harassing. Again, it's just this weird kind of rabbit hole of victimization. Once you start going down it, it never ends. It's so strange.
I have a question though, because he's my fellow countryman, and probably he's going to have an accent like me. Is that going to help a little bit from like this human deer's perspective?
Yes, go for it. Wait, were you asking?
I'm just like curious. No, I'm asking you. Like, do you think that's going to help, or does she just hear, white male and doesn't care about the rest? Or
yeah, I mean,
a particular dislike for American white males.
Yeah, it's really strange. I mean, from that person's perspective, it's basically them, waving that victim card out there, and basically saying that most gamers, or at least a lot of gamers, from their perspective, are white supremacists. And again, I don't even know how you come to that conclusion. But it's just someone that's just completely out of touch with reality. Very strange.
Yeah,
very strange.
I don't get that either, because there have been plenty of voices that I've heard on voice chat that sound like white guys and end up being black guys. I mean, hey.
Yeah, I mean, look.
Well, like as soon as I hear a woman, I leave the lobby. That's
I mean, look. If 2020 online game chats offend you, please don't go back to Modern Warfare 1 and 2 days. I mean, you would not survive.
The weird thing about her point, though, is that she was saying that at the highest level of competition is where you need to squeeze every advantage you can. And I'm just like, if you're playing at the highest levels of competition, you know your teammates. Yeah. They're people who already are like cool with you. You have a rapport with them. You understand how to play together. So like someone on your team is not going to be like, "Are you a deer person? Get out of here." Like they're just going to be like, "All right, let's ram these people with our."
I mean, it goes back to the bully hunters thing. That stupid, horrific bully hunters idea. I mean,
totally fake thing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that was so bad. That was so bad. But and then Ord's board sends a super chat. Hell yeah, drunk playing Dark Souls. That is going to be hilarious. So again, I look, this stream could have went on for another couple of hours. It really just comes into the fact that I already had something prearranged, an interview, and I got to get this knocked out, and then we got to get ready for the Mario Kart stream tonight. So again, if you're not, follow us over on Twitch, Geeks and Gamers. We do a lot of Mario Kart streams, and we're going to be doing far more streams than just Mario Kart. But right now, that's kind of our thing we're doing right now. Gaming with Geeks, our YouTube channel for gaming. We're going to be doing our podcast over there every Saturday at 12 Central, 1 Eastern. Andre, where can they find you?
You can find me over at Midnight's Edge, where I just put out a video, or we put out a video about how Ruby Rose maybe was fired.
Ooh, that's some juicy stuff right there. Good stuff. And thanks for joining, Andre. Same with Tom. Both appreciate both of you being here as always. And MarcTheCyborg.
Hello. Yeah, you can find me making weekly videos on Gaming with Geeks, which is the gaming-focused brand, or I guess vertical, I guess we should call it, of Geeks and Gamers. I also have my own channel. I mostly just stream on there and every so often upload gameplay clips like an Apex Legend game I played. But also the Gaming with Geeks podcast on Saturdays that Jeremy already talked about.
Yep. Uche.
I am your observant lineman, Uche Waneri. And you can find me on my channel, Uche Waneri. You see my name down there in the right there. Type that into YouTube, and you'll find me. I do a lot of football reactions, a lot of football stories from my days as a professional athlete, a lot of perspective pieces, I guess. And as you can tell, I am one who can articulate quite deeply my opinions and my perspectives quite clearly for those who are interested in that sort of thing and hearing some more in-depth reactions to football news. You can find me on my channel. I also do my reactions as well with Sports Wars, which is another part of the Geeks and Gamers Network. And we are picking up on those. So, make sure you smash the subscribe button for that channel as well.
Right on. Lethal Lightning.
It is 6:15 in the morning. I am fucking cold. I'm hungry. Australia. I'm thirsty. I'm very sleepy. The Snyder Cut is coming out. I'm fucking stoked about that. But please look at the bigger picture at this. It doesn't matter if you don't like the movie, you don't like the last two movies, you don't like Zack Snyder. Not the fucking point. Look at the bigger picture. This is a win for fandom across the world. That's what this is all about. Yep. This is a win. This is a win for all of us. Even if you don't like the movies, this is still a really big win, and we should all be proud of it.
Yep. Good stuff, man. Happy to have you here, buddy.
Oh, yeah,
subscribe to Gaming with Geeks. Do it.
Yep. All right, Ryan.
Yep. Oh, and I completely agree with Lethal. If for some reason this announcement makes you upset in any way, I guess like the most like politically correct way to say it would be to eat shit. That's basically it. For all the people that have been talking trash, you're still somehow like mad, shifting the goalposts, and still somehow mad about this. Eat shit. I'm really excited that we're going to see Zack Snyder's true vision, or at least somewhat of his vision on screen. What we should have got for Justice League a long time ago. I'm popping bottles. I'm almost done with this bottle of champagne, so I'm pretty excited. Probably actually got to make a video for my channel soon, but go check me out, Ryan Kendall RK Outpost. I'm actually safe now because fuck Sony, fuck Naughty Dog. Buy my merch. I'm putting it in chat right now. Buy my fuck Naughty Dog merch before it gets taken down.
All right, and like I said, if you missed this and if you want to go back and rewatch it, it will be uploaded to Geeks and Gamers Live, our live stream archive channel. In the next few hours, we'll have that up. We're also going to be re-uploading the Mario Kart stream from the other day that was a classic where you guys spammed the living hell out of Ryan with all of those sound bits. That was fantastic. So that's going to be uploaded. Other than that, thank you guys. Thank you for all of our guests. We do appreciate it. Congratulations to the Snyder fans, to the people that have been fighting this battle for so many years. I'm very happy and envious of you right now, but I am looking forward to seeing how this Snyder Cut turns out. So other than that, thank you guys, and we will talk to all of you later.